That part in Kraven the Hunter where Rhino makes a...
The Kravenov hit failed. All of our guys are dead.
That's right.
What the fuck happened? What the fuck is going on right there? How did that make it into a movie?
Yeah.
The closed captioning is this.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
All of our guys are dead.
Actually, the more I watch it, the more I'm thinking it's kind of like the Tom Cruise's Mummy. Do you guys remember the first trailer to Tom Cruise's Mummy?
Yeah, they for some reason jumped the gun or they most likely grabbed the wrong file to upload.
Yeah.
When they're trying to upload the trailer, and they grabbed the one that did not have, what was it, music and effects, sound effects, right?
It was, yeah, it's wild. Spider-Man, who does not have the strength or the ability to stop a train, but he still figures it out because he knows he has to.
I actually want to take a look at that train scene because I feel like you're maybe misremembering some stuff.
And he still stops it. He still does.
We're slowing down.
There's my boy. There's my boy who saved the day. Oh, shit.
Case closed.
Right.
What the fuck is
that? I did not remember that.
Welcome to every video we make. We use one little thing and then we build the narrative out of it. Welcome to every video we make. We use one little thing and then we build the narrative out of it. Brie Larson says one fucking thing and we make a whole video out of it. That's what we do.
Words are flowing out like woke Mary Sue, objective truth. They don't mean much, but nothing ever ties across the grift of
All right, you assholes.
You can pick up the softback trade paper.
The what now?
How do you do, fellow kids?
The fucking what? The fucking what now? The what is it? The what is it? Does this guy know? Hey, what's up?
What's up?
The what?
Yeah.
Softback trade paper. Still haven't figured that one out. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? I didn't expect to see you here, man. Well, I guess I don't see you, but you're here.
Yeah, I've got RSV, so I am not in a good place. It's a respiratory condition. It's like could take up to 3 weeks to go away. I've had it for about a week and a half, so I'm still struggling through it. There's no actual specific medication. You just have to wait for it to go away. So,
well, man, I hope that's not like super duper uncomfortable, and I hope it goes by relatively quick.
Yesterday was the worst day so far. I'm feeling better today. I didn't have an appetite over the last 2 days. Today I finally was able to eat something, so I think I'm on the upswing at this point. So I apologize. I probably sound very raspy.
I feel bad for you, man. It's like shit. I'm over here just feeling okay. Take some of my energy. Hey, sexies. What up, sexies?
I haven't been anywhere sketchy. I feel too bad to leave the house. So
Critical Drinker. I think that comic did come out. Honestly, I think it did. It's just nobody cared. Is the thing. The one he was supposed to do, I think, a while back, right? For like, it was supposed to be like
Yeah,
spin-off of Rambo about Troutman, Colonel Troutman or whatever.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and I'm pretty sure Drinkers made videos where he's talked about like, oh, nobody wants to see these secondary, tertiary characters in in movies or whatever. But you know, hypocrisy is a bag.
I think a lot of people don't realize that like novels and comic books and film, like it's 3 different types of writing. You know,
Yeah.
you don't write them the same way. They're not done the same way. So you might have an amazing comic book writer that can't do a novel or a film or a TV show. So
Well, that's what we'll see. Like when, for instance, like when Brian Posehn was writing Deadpool, he was writing with Jerry Duggan because I imagine, I don't know what the relationship was like, the working thing, but I would imagine it's because Brian Posehn wasn't familiar with writing comic book format, which you gotta know. But you know who does know how to write? Apparently, Mahler.
Oh,
And he is apparently writing one of the several projects in the works for the Critical Drinkers new short film cinematic universe based on his writing garbage. We can look at that Kickstarter in a little bit. There's some funny stuff along with that, as well as, so it kind of went under the radar, it seems like, but the announcement of the Spider-Man movie, I didn't see it until like 16 hours later on April Fool's Day, and I was like, wait a second, is this real? And it said 16 hours ago, so I was like, so it wasn't April Fool's Day, but is it real?
I think they debunked that. I think they came out and said that it was a joke, but
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Again, I haven't been too like in touch with anything. It was actually a good day for me to be sick. April Fool's is one of the worst days for the stuff that we do. But yeah, I think they came out and said that it wasn't real. I mean, the truth is, even if it was titled Brand New Day and it was a follow up to,
here's an hour ago, USA Today. Spider-Man Brand New Day starring Tom Holland is out in 2026.
well, I guess we'll find out when it happens. But I mean, I'm under the impression that it won't be a one. I mean, it can't be 1-for-1 because that story was about him dissolving his marriage with MJ and like forgetting all those people. So
I saw some people kind of getting their shit all messed up, seeing Brand New Day and thinking it was one.
Dane, they're saying your audio is not working for them. I can hear you, but apparently they're saying they can't hear you.
Weird. In a wind tunnel, huh? Uh-oh. Last time that happened, it was because my mic was wrong. Check.
I mean, I can hear you. I could hear you before. I guess it was just an issue through StreamYard.
Yeah, everybody's saying the audio, but like, I don't know, man. It sounds good to me.
Yeah, I know One More Day was the initial story. Brand New Day was the follow-up to that. So that's what I'm saying. People were saying that would be it would be bad for them because it was like one of the worst Spider-Man stories in history, whatever. But it's never going to be a 1-for-1 translation or adaptation.
Sure, yeah.
It's just going to be a title they use, just like with everything.
I mean, I would be pretty disappointed if they, did a one. I mean, Brand New Day wasn't really a specific story as much as it was just like what they titled the era of post One More Day. Right. It was like he's single again. It's been a long time since he was single. All that shit. So, we'll see how it goes. But I wish I knew what was going on with my mic. Thanks for letting me know, and thanks for letting me know that it's fine. Oh shit, computer's right there. Holy shit. Yeah. So there's other stuff to look at too. But what do you got? Anything you wanted to talk about?
I mean, I know we're not doing politics or whatever, but Wisconsin victory last night was really big. Well, I thought that was for the Fapcast, so I don't want to dive too much into it. But Susan Collins, I think is her name, from Wisconsin, won the seat in a special election last night that Elon dumped $25 million into. and gave out checks for $1 million each to like 2 different people. One of them being someone that was not random, who was
I saw that.
Susan Crawford. That's it, Susan Crawford. Yes,
somebody that was like part of the Wisconsin Republican, whatever. Got $1 million.
I think his name was. Again, I'm bad with names. I think it was Nicholas Jacobs, I believe was his name. But it was like such a massive. It was like a 10-point difference between the two people, between Brad Schimmel and her, and they were like, propaganda machine was in overload the last like 3 or 4 days, trying to get this guy elected, and I think they got complacent, and they were like, we can do this. We're just going to throw a bunch of money at it, and it ends up that's not how it works. And so, no matter what they say, they're mad about this. This is a big problem for them. So
right. I mean, Wisconsin's a big deal just in general, and what it's kind of can be seen as like a bellwether. I think that's the right word. Kind of state where like whatever's going on there, you can kind of extrapolate from there. But yeah, there was that, and I did see that a Trump guy did win something. I forget what it was, but it wasn't anything as relevant as that.
Somewhere in I think it was in Florida Congress. Somewhere. Florida, 2 people in Florida. But Florida's going to Florida, so I think Florida's kind of its own thing, But I mean, there's another special election coming up, I believe, in North Carolina with another seat similar to the one we just saw, where they believe it might be a similar situation if people turn out. Because on Fox News, they're saying, well, the Democrats mobilized and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, that's what we have to do. That's the only way we're going to fight back against this. So.
By the way, did you see that you were the subject of a JJ Trujillo video?
No. When did it come out? If it's been the last 3 or 4 days, that's why.
It's like today or earlier today or something. So like it's the title is "Homosexual YouTuber Eviscerates FNT," quote, "Too gay for me." So he goes over your community post that you did about.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Going to see Snow White and.
Yeah, that whole thing's weird. They're still talking about Snow White. Like, it's so dumb. They're even trying now to pin a rated R, like, action thriller movie against Snow White, and it's like, what are we doing? Right.
Written by Chuck Dixon. Literally fucking Eric July put that video out, and that just seems so desperate to me that like, it's almost as desperate as Birds of Prey versus Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's just so... It's obvious to me that they're struggling to find things to sort of complain about. I think I saw. Well, I actually went to Yellow Flash's page recently, and I noticed that he is almost completely like leaving fandom content. It's almost all political stuff or video game related. It's not like movies and TV shows. Of course, he's talking about Snow White because that's the one that they're all still talking about. But I mean, looks like he's kind of moving on a little bit.
That's kind of more honest than just like continuing to pretend like you're just a fan guy, right? Like it's a little bit more honest in that way. But yeah, we do seem to be experiencing a lapse of Chud content. I suppose that's why we had to step up and become Chuds ourselves in my most recent
I saw that title. It's hilarious.
We're Chuds now.
The funny thing is, I was looking yesterday because I was under the weather, but I was like, let me try and make a video because I had one up on Monday about Shay diversity. But there's just not a lot. I mean, I could probably find something to talk about, but I was like, I'll take the day off. I'll stream today and then make a video for tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, they're kind of just like regurgitating all of the stuff they've been saying for the last 2 or 3 months. There's no major astroturfing going on right now. So,
well, I mean, they're trying to astroturf this drinker project, but we'll look at that a bit later. But I don't know if you looked at it at all, but it's imagine like pretty much even a lot of his own fans were pretty disappointed by Rogue Elements and whatever the fuck that short film / TV thing.
Oh, I've seen people making videos where they're fans of Critical Drinking. They're like, this was just dog shit. It was awful. So
imagine the hubris it takes to just to go, you know what? Nobody really liked that. It was pretty bad. Universally thought it was pretty bad.
Right.
Let's go ahead and expand that. Use the same characters, the same actors, the same people working on it, and just like make several projects based on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like the inverse of the MCU, where you just instead of taking a hit movie like Iron Man, you do that. But maybe this guy can clear it up for us. Pillar of Garbage is here.
Hey guys, thought I'd drop in, given the news. How we doing? Eric, I heard I was listening in for a bit. Really sorry to hear you going through that respiratory thing. That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's hard to make videos because I'm having trouble like coughing and stuff, so I have to stop every 2 or 3 minutes to like take a moment.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, it's one of those things where I had it for about a week. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just allergies, and then it just kind of got worse. I went to the doctor, and they were like, "No, it's probably RSV. It's not COVID, which is good." But the bad thing about RSV is it lasts about 3 weeks. So
yeah,
I'm about halfway through the time that it lasts. So anyway, hopefully it gets better over the next few days.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably people that say, is it objectively worse than The Last Jedi? I don't know. We'll see.
Objectively worse.
So you've been looking at that Kickstarter, right? Pillar?
Oh, me, yeah. Oh, I've been feasting.
I haven't really looked at it. I just
Are they deleting something about deleting comments or something? Deleting negative comments?
Is that on the Kickstarter or is that on his community post he's made?
Oh, who knows? He's using, is it Kickstarter or Kid Puncher? Which is it he's using?
One of the two, yeah.
Got him. Trial by fire. So just like, right off the top, man, it's so generic sounding. They're already making, pretty decent money, pretty good coin. From what I understand, though, that this is like about their 25 backers is about half of the money. So that tells you that he's got a couple of whales in the crowd.
Yeah, not surprising.
So,
right off the bat, the great thing about this is the guy whose whole shtick is today's entertainment landscape sucks. That guy. He took a look around and he said, "You know what we need? Another cinematic universe that'll set things right."
Yeah. I mean,
because they've been doing so well lately. I mean, it's just might as well go ahead and do this.
I just can't imagine thinking that people want more of that Ryan Drake shit, and and it's odd because they seem to be trying to address some of the legit criticism that thing got, but that you can't escape the foundational criticism of it just like being a derivative, nothing.
I mean, also
being about a guy called Ryan, because we all know anyone called Ryan being involved with anything.
At least I could do a better accent.
That's true. I just want to point out that my issue with the film and everything surrounding this is these are the guys who claim they know how to fix these billion-dollar brands. Like they know all the answers. That's what they do for a living. They sit around and nitpick, and they get pedantic, and they go around looking at things and cherry picking things. And so I would assume that if they were making something themselves without any oversight from a studio or an executive or board of directors or any of the stuff, no DEI, no Sweet Baby Inc., none of that, it should have been a slam dunk. But it wasn't, which goes to show that no one should take their criticism seriously again after that.
The problem with that is that Mahler didn't write it, and now Mahler is on the fucking scene. Okay, Mahler.
Oh,
how's he described it? He's
long form content expert or something like that, isn't it?
Content expert who's going to be writing a short film.
Yes.
Interesting.
No, it's funny you say that though, Eric, because that those kind of intellectual blinders are so firmly affixed to these guys' audiences. One thing I briefly touched on in my video on Rook Elements was the fact that some of the comments and responses that piece got were kind of taking for granted that the drinker's hands were tied behind his back. You'd get responses like, "Oh, I'd love to see what you could do in the future with more freedom, with less limiters." And it's just like, what do you think this was, guy?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's his. This is his baby. This is a director's cut. This is his thing,
I'm pretty sure that they were just kind of like letting him call whatever shots he wanted to, right?
He was a big part of it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and it was money wasn't it money that he raised to make this?
Yeah, it was his a Kickstarter that he set up after the director bloke came to him.
Yeah,
and there is one could, I suppose, say, well, yeah, the director bloke came to him. The director bloke co-wrote the script, and he had a big part of the kind of input behind the making of it. But the thing is, there's always going to be other guys that have big inputs, except for the writer, right? If we're talking about someone entering the space of creating short films or TV or what have you, there is no scenario in which one kind of auteur bloke does the whole thing. That isn't how the medium works.
No, it doesn't. That's a really good perspective. I mean, I think a lot of people don't understand that even if you are the main creative voice behind any film or TV show, you are not the only person contributing to what that show is going to deliver on. There's going to be other people taking part in that, whether it be the acting, the sound, whatever it is. But Drinker is someone who says that he can see these things coming from a mile away. So you mean to tell me he was in on the post-editing process and didn't see any issue with this before it came out? That's the part that I find hard to believe. Oh, Dane, you're muted.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't know until very recently, as in like a couple hours ago, like I didn't know if he had addressed any of the criticism really or said anything negative about his own project or whatever. But apparently he did. And but it's in like an unlisted video.
Oh.
So
why is it unlisted? That's weird.
No, it's only for I guess
a lot of the kind of behind the scenes featurettes that they were posting when they were making Rogue Elements were unlisted as well. So maybe it's like a backers only thing that someone's stumbled across the link to. That's how I found some of the footage I used in my video.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I haven't watched this yet either though.
It's only got 232 views, looks like. And we can be.
Someone's put in the chat, release the Drinker cut.
Elements, the first short film that we financed through Kickstarter a couple of years ago. I've talked about it on live streams a bunch of times since the film came out, but I've never.
Or was it? What was it? What do you call it? A TV thing? Whatever the fuck? I don't know.
It was a concept or proof of concept.
Actually. Yeah, but by the end it was being sold as a TV proof of concept.
Yeah, because I mean, the first thing that I ever noticed about Critical Drinker when I really paid attention to him for the first time, I made a graphic about it that got kind of went around. But like how he'll just change the framing in retrospect of whatever he just turns out to have been wrong about. So like whenever he did a trailer review for Prey, and it was just like a trailer review, and it said how not to do a Predator sequel or whatever. Or, this looks terrible. And then of course everybody ended up generally liking Prey, and he went and changed the title to like trailer review or something like that. And it's
and there's some muddiness on the Kickstarter as to how true this kind of pivot is. Like in the most generous possible interpretation, they started making a short film. They realized it wasn't working. They turned it around into something which they then showed to some backers somewhere as a, hey, we could make a TV show out of this. And there is mention on the Kickstarter that apparently something is in development somewhere, but they don't mention if it's going to be a continuation of the short film turned TV proof of concept. And also, it's very light on details on what like production or development means in this context, because everything's in production. You know what I mean? Like that's the industry is like there's the stuff you end up seeing is like a tiny fraction of the stuff that people are starting to spin up at any one point.
But the thing that I'm we can be confident about when it comes to drinkers and especially like Mahler's fans is that they do not ask questions. They're not going to be critical of the things that are said.
Well, one thing we can circle back to in a bit, maybe. I'm sorry, I don't want to feel like I'm kind of taken over here, but this is like my special interest. I don't know if you guys have looked on the comments on his community post announcing this. Edgier Than Thou brought it up earlier, but there's really a lot of pushback from his exact fan base. There's some great stuff.
So like, they're mad that he's like asking for money again, essentially?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of that. I'm just scrolling down it now.
He doesn't need the money. That's the crazy thing. He makes enough money.
So we said on the Kickstarter that we won't put a penny of this into our own pockets, right? And that's probably true. They don't need to. Then, like you said, they're making a ton of money. But like even so, right? So this guy saying, "Will it be better and more transparent than your last one?" This person says, "Tell you what, you give me 237 million and I'll produce you a done film, I promise." This person says, "Please give up on Rogue Elements." This person says, "No, lol." This person says, "Your last quote project was the most embarrassing shit show ever made. Then you have the nerve to slag others off at something you can't do either." And I could keep going because the entire post is comments like this.
Well, so I went ahead and brought it up here. This one, right?
Oh yeah. You have to, obviously the more positive ones are kind of clustered toward the top, but even then, we start to see it creeping in.
Would be as experimental as Rogue
The
Element.
nah, look, that's a 3-letter response. Nah, period.
I sure hope this is April Fool's prank. Yeah, good times, good times. I wonder if it, like, does any of this register to him? Does he even give a shit? You know what I mean? Like,
No.
just like, yeah.
If it's anything like
Ignores
the
it.
last project, it's a waste of money. That's hilarious.
I mean, it's like you say, Dane. The whales are on board, and that's kind of the main thing.
Yep. Sadly, I have to agree with the other commenters. It seems like a bad idea. It really does. I mean, look, I'm fucking hyped for it because I've said many times in the past that for somebody who seems to know the exact formula for creating the best film or the best story, like Mahler talks like he does, I wanted to see him use that. You know, why would you spend your life just nitpicking movies, literally a frame at a time, when if you know all of this, you have all of this fucking wisdom and knowledge about making films, just do it, or at least make a YouTube channel where you're telling people how to do it, teaching people how to do it. So
well, if you've cracked the code that Hollywood has been unable to crack in 100 years of making a surefire guaranteed hit, yeah, why hide that knowledge from everybody else?
Yep.
And the great irony here is that this post shows us, and like some of the comments on my video show us, we can make videos all the live long day. We don't, necessarily just talk about these guys, but we could do. But nothing's done more reputational damage than his own work.
I mean, that's the same thing with like Eric July, to be honest. I mean, once they get it in their head that they're going to put a thing out there themselves after they spent all these years just shitting on everything else, it's like it's got to be something amazing, and it just never is going to be from these guys.
And just probably worth putting in context for any viewers, especially if any of this gets clipped at all. If at any point discussing this, any of us seem to be taking glee in this kind of criticism, just know that each one of us has had countless kind of nasty comments and messages slung our way by people kind of rallying the standard that these guys know what's going on. We just have to listen to these guys and everything will be fine.
You know what? I was just dealing with
a vindication
because so I put a video up. Me and Bob Chaos the other day, we recorded a video of us just looking at there's a video string clip of Nerdrotic and Mahler kind of debating how bad Deadpool and Wolverine was, and then along with that, just like the weird rift of like EFAP fans that don't like Nerdrotic and Geeks and Gamers and all those guys. You can find that everywhere. There's a large contingent of them that just do not like that those guys are buddies, and so we were trying to pound on that fault line a little bit, and like some of the comments that I've gotten have been classic Mahler fan, and I've got a couple of them here because Ed from Pop Counterculture was fucking with them, and I mean I wouldn't engage with him myself, but like just the delusion, this he's a perfect example of why it's bad that Mahler has a fan base. Because he gives really stupid people, really like spiteful little people, confidence, or false confidence, right? So, and first of all, this guy says that he's not a fan of Mahler or Nerdrotic or any of these guys that we're talking about. He's just, impartial.
He's just a concerned bystander
who happens to capitalize the L in Mahler, which I'm sorry, but you're a fan if you're fucking taking time to do that bullshit. He's answering stuff I didn't even say, but of course he's arguing with Ed. The classic thing, the guilt by association thing that they like to do, where like, oh, just because he's constantly he's constantly spreading hate.
What is an endorsement in that case? You guys know about the concept of the performative utterance?
Not sure.
So what that is oftentimes when we speak, it doesn't directly affect the things we're talking about, right? But if in some cases, like say, if I say to you, I promise I'm going to do this, then my speech act has directly affected the kind of social reality that it kind of orbits, right? And it's a similar thing with streaming in that they say this all the time. They say, oh, regularly streaming is not an endorsement. This is guilt by association. But the thing is, that is like fundamentally a repeated collaborative thing like this, streaming, it ties audiences together. It ties analytics together. It's not endorsing. It's a step beyond endorsing. It's actively aiding.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up, basically.
I mean, yeah, you're 100% right. That's the way the algorithm works, and it's like I don't believe that they're that stupid or unaware that that's exactly what they're doing. So I
Yeah,
mean, it's
not many things are objective, but streaming with someone repeatedly, regularly, is a de facto endorsement and then some.
So Ed was asking like why he has such a problem with me. Like what if because the guy's basically telling me to delete my channel, get off the internet or something. I don't know. And he's asking him, nobody's forcing you to watch this channel. I'm not saying it's for my sake, pal. I'm saying it's because the entire thing is commentary. The issue is that he's forgetful, illiterate, immature, unhinged, unintelligent, and a complete narcissist. He really is the Dunning-Kruger effect personified. Do you understand the issue now? It's like, what issue?
I don't know why. Sorry, I don't know why he says all those things about Mauler and still likes him.
I also never understood the comment, you don't have to watch their videos while they're on our videos watching our content, telling us that we don't have to watch this content. I just never understand that.
He explains the issue with me in my content here. He says, Dane is a YouTuber, not a large one, but still has a fan base. I'm not a fan of Mauler, Drinker, Nerdrotic, or any of these YouTubers that Dane goes after. However, that doesn't mean that I approve of the way he did his channel. I see a rude, unintelligent, and egotistical person, potentially dangerous when looking what happened with SK. I fucking don't even understand what that means. I learned all of this from watching a few of his streams, some stories, and even arguments with Dane himself. I've concluded that he is not a YouTuber who should be listened to. Do you understand the issue now? It's like, and it's the same thing that EFAP does with the movies that they're talking about. They think that because they've decided that these things are not good, that like they just shouldn't exist, essentially, right?
And this comment is also, it's just the myth of consensual sex meme, right? It's like he's saying, "Oh, I'm not a fan, but doesn't mean I have to be on board with him." It's like, "Oh, isn't there someone you forgot to ask, Dane, before you put your content out? Shouldn't you have thought about this guy's opinions on the matter?"
But I mean, this is one of the many strategies that Chud fans have used over the 5 years I've been doing this, which is like, oh, I don't even know who Nerdrotic is, and then you like go look at the descriptions and you subscribe to Nerdrotic and Geeks and Gamers. It's just happened countless times. I don't know why they think that's going to be like make their opinion have more weight or something, but yeah.
But like we've always said as well, let's reflecto this on them. If you're not allowed to comment on bigger channels because this person has deemed you not intelligent enough to do so, why should these channels be allowed to comment on big movies?
Because they have bigger numbers than me.
And also, why should these guys be allowed to comment on your videos? Like I did that whole switcheroo to a guy in a comment section the other day. I think it was actually this Rogue Elements video I did, and he was like, okay, you make a movie, then we'll talk about it. Checkmate liberal, that kind of thing. So I just replied to that some shit like, I see you've commented on my video about the Critical Drinkers movie. Unfortunately, I can't see that you've made a video about the Critical Drinkers movie, so I'm going to have to disregard that opinion. And I tried to find it earlier today as this was all coming up, get the receipts in the back pocket. And I think the guy deleted it.
By the way, I did want to get this out, not get out of the way, but I feel bad we didn't already address it. But yes, Val Kilmer passed away yesterday, which is pretty sad. Dude had some good roles, some great roles. So
I saw the news so late, I wasn't sure if it was just one of those sick April Fool's Day things where they say something awful. But
no, not in this case.
Yeah, I saw it confirmed today again. I was like, oh, so it really was a thing. So,
I mean, if anyone's seen the documentary, he wasn't well, but he was in good spirits, at least at that time. He'd had health problems, but yeah.
Didn't he have
fantastic actor?
Part of his throat removed? Wasn't part of his throat removed for cancer?
Yeah. So he couldn't speak. So in the documentary, his son voices over as him, basically. His son provides his voice. Yeah, great actor, great roles. I know he was claimed that he was difficult to work with, which is something I think he acknowledged. But
but he's like easy to look at. He was easy to look at. That's the thing.
I don't think there were ever any details of wrongdoing necessarily. I think he was just quite a prickly person, which you get.
And I think that he made a pretty good Bruce Wayne. Maybe not bad, but a pretty decent Bruce Wayne. I liked what he did. So anyway, back to this business. Yeah, it seems like Drinker's not having the best welcome to this. And so, yeah, go ahead.
I'd love to, in a minute, take a kind of brief rundown at the short films being mooted here, because is what my little tagline today is about. They're making DCU here stands for Diedrich Cinematic Universe. They're making a whole short film out of like a side character in Rogue Elements called Diedrich, who I'm sure the actor is great when he's not doing a Russian accent.
Yeah.
Plays a Russian who can't really do the accent at all. So it's going to be interesting to.
Based on his name and the accent, I assume the character was German.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm misremembering, but let me do some checking. Let me get that.
That's like the one interesting kind of performer in that thing is who I'm thinking of, right? Like he might have some chops. Not the guy that was acting opposite boring ass Ryan Drake. For
the
first scene or so.
For the most of it, yeah, and the German accent is best described for the American viewers as Hogan's Heroes, well, for the older American viewers, and for the British viewers as a low level of accenting.
So, what about this whole a lucky writer will have their story transformed into a short film? What's up with that part of this thing?
Well, any viewer of The Critical Drinker, or anybody really, can submit their own script and presumably will be richly financially rewarded for doing so. I mean, you wouldn't just write a script on spec and submit it for no money.
It works on a few levels, right? On the one hand, it's obviously it fills out the pitch. You know, they probably had the other ones ready to go, and then they were like, "Hey, this sweetens it a bit. Let's do a crowdfunding idea thing." The next level is kind of audience goodwill, like maybe a bit of a mea culpa for Rogue Elements. Hey, yeah, maybe some of your feedback would help this whole project, guys. Maybe you're right. And then obviously zooming out the whole way, it is just kind of playing into the real big picture stuff of kind of, I guess you'd call it like pop culture populism. You know, the audience is right, the customer is correct. Power to the people. Hey, guy who watches YouTube videos and doesn't really know or care about film as a medium, but beyond that, you can do it better than the big shots.
Yeah. There's Dietrich, Brian Bisson. Yeah, I thought he was like the one guy that kind of was interesting.
I can't remember what nationality he's supposed to be. I thought it was. I must have been misremembering, because I mean, you can't tell from the accent. Maybe he's like a German-Russian dual citizen. Bit of Slovakian in there.
Fucking, is this a chick that shot Drinker in the dick, but he died? Yeah.
Diedrich, Ryan Drake, nationality.
I think it's probably worth watching a bit more of the video we started with.
Yeah, because I'm seeing
just
little,
because
like,
I
half apologies for the previous one. So.
And I noticed he said that the whole cast is back, so that'll be interesting.
Never really taken the time to get my thoughts in some kind of order. What worked, what didn't, and what I'd do differently next time. So let's do it right now, shall we? First, the positives, because I think there are a lot of things.
I find it fucking fascinating that he's in character for this, right?
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
He's in character, but he's talking about a real fucking thing that, like, really, there's, I don't know, they're blurring some lines there, man. I don't know.
Things that worked out really well with this movie in terms of the look and feel, the cinematography, the fight sequences, and the sheer level of professionalism, work ethic, and commitment of everyone involved. I'm super proud of what we accomplished with Rogue Elements. This was not an easy film to make by any stretch, and although we were lucky to have some serious industry pros on board, for a lot of us this was our first real experience working on a project of this scale. It was definitely a learning experience, sometimes a harsh one, but it was absolutely worthwhile. The support that we got from the backers and the steady stream of updates.
Wait, pause it for a second. A learning experience. If you know how to make movies at the level of like Disney and Warner Brothers, why would this be a learning experience?
A £300,000 learning experience at that.
Right.
I would
So you're
probably have
going into
started out
this
with a
Yeah, you're
smaller
going into
budget
this
one.
admitting that you didn't know how to do it. So
it's
what
a
the
tacit
fuck?
admission that all of his criticisms about, like, you know, is just like a guy sitting on his fucking couch saying, "Oh, I could do that better," when he, you know, literally can't.
And let's not forget, this is the 21st century where how to make films has been more accessible than ever before. I mean, you look at the 90s indie movement when Kevin Smith made a film, which was a learning experience, and that was very successful. The Blair Witch Project, none of those guys had made a film before. That was a learning experience. So it's not like it's not something you could go into maybe learning before you spend 300,000 of your fan base's money on making.
And the other side of this is, you know, the director he worked with, like, okay, he's maybe not Martin Scorsese, but on like, and this is something I talked about in my video, on like a basic functional level, it's fine as like a short film, a first kind of foray into this stuff. Even like The Critical Drinker, I don't think he's a very good writer. I'm sure you guys don't either. But even knowing on a basic level how to string a plot together, that's not nothing.
Right.
And the fact that it still turned out like a bunch of hot dookie, yes, that tells us they probably went about it wrong, probably should have had a smaller scope, probably should have known what they were doing more. But it also tells us that this shit is actually kind of hard, right?
Yeah.
Harder than harder than that kind of whole soapbox rests on.
I also would like to say that going into this, like, it's the hubris, like it's the ego these guys have. So
100%.
like Ryan was saying, there's no shortage of how-to lessons on making a short film or something along those lines. You can pay for them online. You can even find them free on YouTube. So the fact that he didn't, and he says he has connections in the industry. So you didn't have anybody in the industry to help you do this, to make it look more serviceable? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's literally just all ego. That's what it is. It's all ego and hubris.
So how much of this is just like is just straight up they want to get the bag. He wants to get the bag, right? And how much of it is like he's just been gassed up by everybody around him. He's all gassed up now and he's fucking thinking he's gonna nail it. You know what I mean? It's like 50-50.
What I'm kind of thinking of is like it's Ben Shapiro syndrome. Like looking at the stuff he puts out on YouTube and the complete lack of effort he puts into the kind of, you know, the production of it. It doesn't seem like YouTube is The Critical Drinker's preferred medium, right? I feel like it's kind of all that's kind of gone to his head, plus the, you know, the background he has in turning out formulaic thriller novels. Is he not kind of now looking at his YouTube status and thinking, okay, so this is a good, you know, golden goose for the time being, but couldn't it also be a kind of a ramp into doing this thing, filmmaking, which I've always kind of thought I could do better than everyone else. You know, let me try and turn this platform into a bridge into that, instead of just like maintaining the golden egg laying of the goose of this weird metaphor that I've dragged on far too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it's money, because he makes more money off his channel than he did off this project or anything that's come from it or from his books. I think it's ego. It's got to be. Everyone's told him he's great. He always thought he was great, which is why he wrote those terrible books. And so now he just wants as many people as possible to see how great he is and give him the rewards he thinks he deserves.
And it's not all negative, right? Like, you know, hey, if you can do it, if you can fund it, make a movie. Great, good. If it's bad, that sucks. Right? It's just putting it into the context of the, you know, as Mauler would say, the cultural meta narratives around this kind of stuff is where the, you know, the funny
the
side
damage
comes.
it does to the meta narrative of culture. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I don't think Bent Key is going to be able to buy it.
Bent Key is gone. Like, it's dissolved. So
We should fold it into the Diedrich cinematic universe.
Yeah. I don't think, I know it's not related to this. I don't think Daily Wire is going to be around much longer anyway. So
no, it seems like they're having some problems, to say the least.
And behind the scenes insights we were able to give them were absolutely top tier, and I've got no regrets about how any of that stuff was managed. Anyway, that's enough sucking my own dick. Let's talk about the lessons that I learned from this film. One, making movies is expensive. And I don't mean Electric State kind of expensive, where you spend $320 million to make something that looks like a direct-to-video sci-fi movie. I mean, making films at any vaguely professional level costs way more than you could imagine.
Oh my God. Really? Really? Isn't this a guy that complains about the budgets of movies? He just mentioned Electric State. So you complain about budgets of movies when you don't know all the details about them. You make your own movie and they're like, oh shit, this is more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
And also, he just mentioned Electric State. This is a 10-minute, unfucking listed video, supposedly just being about the lessons learned, maybe to build some confidence in the whales for the next project. It's like what we was talking about earlier about the fact that he's still in character for this. He's still got to keep the fanning the flames of the culture war bollocks, even for this ostensibly kind of journalistic, honest reflection as Will Jordan of the experiences of
like little chud snacks. You got to feed him little chud snacks.
Yeah, you got to get him the chud snacks. That is nuts. Half a sentence of this 10-minute video is wasted on the Electric State bashing. Sorry.
Various fees and taxes were deducted, which meant we could afford to hire professional actors and crew. Great stuff.
Oh, the fees and taxes. Hang on a sec.
Line from a fun little.
Wait just a minute. The fees and taxes that were deducted. So the actual budget he had was more than he thought he was going to have.
Right.
Because they were able to deduct the various fees and tax breaks.
Which is the arguments we make about the big budget movies when actors have high tags to go along with them. We're like, we don't know how much money they saved in rebates and fees and taxes and things like that. We don't know those things. And
Nerdrotic does. Oh, don't forget that. Nerdrotic knows exactly every penny Disney spends on everything.
Exactly. But you also notice he's not telling us here. He's not telling us how much he saved.
And
he's
also,
not giving us the numbers.
To be as generous as possible. Don't know why, but just in case. Maybe the phrasing's a bit strange there. Maybe he's talking about the amount of that budget that the Kickstarter platform fees took out. Even if so,
possibly,
that's 5%. You've still got nearly 300 grand in pounds. So
a producer's job is supposed to be to know what those are before you make the film.
Exactly.
So what role is he going to be taking in this officially? Is it said?
Well, all I know is if he didn't understand the budgeting of making a movie, why was he making a movie? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And again, it's like these are the kinks you work out maybe with a 20 grand budget.
Well, so the way I saw it, there was that, from what I understand, is that it was like a guy or a couple of guys that have a pretty extensive history of working in the film industry on like stunts and whatnot, right? That approached him wanting to make a Ryan Drake thing. And
a couple of the listed producers on this,
the director
shopping it around Hollywood, and they previously produced a bunch of TV, a lot of the sort of Canadian short stuff from the 90s, but also 24. So what help were they?
Yeah, it's the director that came to him, and I think he is known for, well, not known, but he previously did a lot smaller scale indie stuff, sometimes even without a budget. So it's understandable that he wouldn't necessarily know all this in pitching the concept to Drinker. But as you say, from the jump, they had industry names attached. From the jump, all this was known. All this is yap to kind of translate into, if we run it through the D-critical Drinker fire, it's here are some reasons that sound good to you. Now, money, please.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he didn't even budget out the film. That's the part that's like baffling to me. He asked for an arbitrary amount of money. He just said, I want this amount of money. What if he didn't spend the whole... We don't know how much of this money went into the movie. Did he pocket some of it? We don't know. There's no transparency.
He said in this new thing that none of it's going to go to them, right? So, like, how does he know that? How does he know that that's even the case if he doesn't know how to fucking budget?
And I'm sure the original amount he asked for this was like 50 grand. What the hell type of film did he think he was going to make for 50 grand?
Exactly.
Make for 300? Because again, I'll come. A lot of my knowledge comes from the indie movies of the 90s. Kevin Smith chose to make the film he did because that's how much we could afford to make it for. He set it in a convenience store because he had one that he could use. That's what you do when you're doing a first thing.
From memory, I think the only salient change in the description of the original Rogue Elements pitch, which was for far less, as you say. I think it was supposed to have a shorter runtime. The rest of the description is similar, like, you know, fewer scenes and stuff, but there's the warehouse infiltration thing that was always part of it, the action sequences, all this. Either way, you know, if this whole thing was a learning experience and you didn't realize it would be this expensive, like, hey, that's fine. It's a learning process. But doesn't that kind of tell us that when you put the original Kickstarter up with the original goal, you had no fucking clue?
I don't see $300,000 on the screen when I watch this thing. You know.
Oh no, £300,000. So more than $300,000.
Right. Well, so I don't see that either. So I'm guess I'm just wondering what the fuck happened to the rest of the money. And I don't know. I don't want to make any accusations here. I'm seeing people say that this is going to be a bomb. That's the thing. It's not, because the way that it's being done, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's already going to be funded. It's pretty clear that that's the case based on what it's already made. So they're going to get the money to do the thing. It doesn't matter how it actually is received, because they're going to pretend like it's a win. That's what they're doing with this now.
Yeah, it's free money.
They're acting like this one that pretty much everybody, even his own fan base, was like, it's pretty bad, or at least not very great. You know what I mean? And they're acting like it's some kind of big win, and that that's a cause to spin off into a bunch of fucking other short films about these nothing characters.
What's interesting about the pitch video you put up for this is a lot of the comments don't realize that this ever got made.
Yeah.
They're all looking forward to his first film, his first attempt. Which
possibly also worth noting is, even if, and I believe this because I feel like there's not a ton of transparency, but there's enough that this would be, you know, it'd be a big enough scandal that if it came out they've been laundering some money, I don't think they'd do it. Even if no money goes into their own pockets, which, yeah, it probably won't, that doesn't mean they don't benefit from it, right? Like, at worst, what is this? It's a bunch of shit on a CV. Oh yeah, I fucking executive produced a whole run of short films, blah, 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 which, sure, that's not going to get you to direct the next fucking Captain Marvel movie, but, like, you know, maybe 10 years time, maybe, you know, when China's taken over the world, maybe they take YouTube down. Drinker's looking for a job running a local TV station in Scotland. This gets him in the door, you know? And
so this was filmed in Peterborough, Ontario, in Canada, is where this movie was filmed. I just looked up the value of roughly 300K pound to Canadian dollars. Do you want to know how much he would have made, or how much money he would have transferred it to when he went to Canada?
It's probably
that's got to go like, yeah, double-ish, right?
It's close to double, yeah. It's almost 600 grand in Canadian.
Wow. Wow.
Somewhere there is just a warehouse full of maple syrup that is just, you know.
Amateur project into an actual legit production, the costs and the red tape and the complications skyrocket. Now you have to deal with actors unions and agents and crew unions and health and safety and tax regulations and a million other things that you don't even need to remotely care about when you're just filming a movie with your buddies. Now, I totally get that all of this stuff is in place to keep people safe, and for the most part, I absolutely support those kinds of safeguards, but fuck me, it does lead to some pretty absurd roadblocks. Like, imagine you want to have a fight scene in a shallow pool of water for dramatic effect. Well, you're going to need a lifeguard and a paramedic on hand, and the water has to be chemically tested, and the actors have to be briefed on health and safety protocols. And
what? He has a problem with this?
Yeah, man,
I can't believe Rogue Elements was shit because of woke. I can't believe that. That's crazy.
That makes perfect sense.
His movie was only sucked because of woke. It's because of the woke lifeguards outside all the puddles.
I'd seen something said about what he ends up laying some blame on, and I'm waiting for him to do it, but I don't want to spoil it yet.
I mean, this stuff is just mad, though. Yeah, the water might have horrible diseases in it because it's on the ground, and the actors might get it in their mouths.
All right. So what we're gonna do for this shot is I'm gonna fucking give you a swirly in this random puddle outside a warehouse I found, and you're gonna drink that shit down, and we're gonna get a few takes of that. Yeah, sound good?
All morning getting takes on this, so just, go ahead and get down there and suck that shit up, buddy.
Yeah, get a mouthful.
And if you don't want to have to deal with all of those health and safety issues, just don't have it be near a puddle.
Or don't do a fucking Kickstarter for a massive movie. Just take the camera out with your buddies and make a short film, you know?
Yeah. But my brilliant idea about the puddle, it has to happen.
And you have to have warm blankets and heaters and probably an on-site therapist as well. This is all stuff that has to be factored into the budget, the timescale, and the script. And because we didn't have much
What's
experience
probably
with
doing there?
it wasn't.
Yeah,
at
what is
first.
probably doing there?
He's just fucking making shit up to like butter up his point about woke ruining his movie. Like, dude, what's probably doing that? You made the movie. You know if there was a therapist there. Spoiler alert, there wasn't.
Unless they were supposed to have a fight scene which actually took place with one of their faces getting shoved in a puddle, and they did cut it for that very reason.
Yeah.
So he's sort of meddling with the truth there, where it says like, this is what we spent just so they could fight near puddles, when actually what he means to say is we cut a scene where a guy's face was in the water because health and safety made it cost prohibitive.
And again, 10-minute unlisted video. Maybe take out the electric state bit earlier in. You got room to explain what you mean there. I don't know. I'm not a filmmaker, so I don't really, I'm kind of a novice. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
That even whenever you have like pretty much full control over your project, it's gonna sneak in there and fuck you up.
Yeah, it gets in there. It'll get through the cracks.
It's woke to have safety on set. So
yeah,
there we go.
Which resulted in a lot of hasty rewriting further down the roads. But I'll talk more about that soon. Believe that. 2. A scriptwriter has no control over the end product. There's basically 3 versions of the movie. The version
Okay. Yeah, I don't have an insightful comment. I'm just like, what the
I mean, I've got one.
He was on set writing stuff. I saw clips of him writing on set. Like
what he said there is true. A writer doesn't have any say once they've turned in their script, but he's not a writer on this project.
He was a co-writer, I think, but like,
the
sentence as
a writer.
The sentence as a writer has no control over the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't have direct control. Things change. You have no control. What does that mean? It's just like, yeah. So I wrote a script about a guy going into a warehouse. They actually filmed it, and it turned out it was about like animated gnomes fighting off a dragon. Yes, I'm just the script writer. What do I know?
He's absolving himself of criticism. That's what he's doing.
He was on set the whole time.
Right.
He had a cameo in it.
Well,
he's a producer on it.
The other thing,
raised money for it.
Isn't his argument a lot of times that when these movies are made, that like Lord of the Rings, right? These kinds of films and stuff, they want someone on set that represents the value of the original, the fidelity from the original books or wherever it's coming from on screen. That's one of his biggest complaints. That's been the complaint about Snow White this whole time, is that the fidelity was changed, right? So if the actual person that wrote the books is alive and on set while this is going on and signs off on it, then it is actually his fault. He said it was okay.
He's going to try and present it as if the guy that came to him wanting to make a movie or a short film about his bullshit is going to like not listen to him if he's got some real concerns about the direction of things or whatever, or how things are looking. Come on.
Yeah, like further to Eric's point, the charge they always level is, okay, maybe it's kind of tacitly implied that we were all on board with the fact that things change in the production process, but they need to have the guy there to be the hand on the tiller. They had the guy here. You were the guy.
Also, is he so clueless about the filmmaking process that he doesn't realize that the scripts always change?
Bingo.
Schrodinger's drunkard.
What this tells me, we're almost 3 minutes into this video, it tells me that he doesn't know how to make movies. So why is he a critic of movies? That's what I'm getting from this.
Pretty much all of his content. I mean, he's done that already with his other content, but
I tell you, if he'd put half the effort into the movie as he did, building in all the sort of barely visible excuses into the first 2 minutes of this video, hey, we'd have a corker on our hands.
You want to make, the version you're allowed to make, and finally, the version you're forced to make. The first version is that magical first draft of the script where you don't have to worry about logistics or budget. The second version is one you're allowed to make after a line producer's worked out how much it's all going to cost and cuts most of your favorite stuff out. And finally, there's a version you're forced to make once the cameras actually start rolling, when logistical issues on set, bad weather, delay in filming, having to choreograph some challenging fight sequences to tight timescales. And
this sounds like excuse after excuse after excuse, which is something
like he's saying these are things that you have to sometimes do to get what you wrote. Like he's not even saying things didn't happen. It's just you had to wait because of weather, or you had to choreograph the fight scene. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I am expecting this whole kind of 1 minute ramble we've just had in the middle of every upcoming big tentpole franchise movie he reviews on this channel, by the way.
Yeah, he's gonna be like,
If
"Oh,
it's not there, I'm gonna be real shocked."
way too hard on these things." Yeah.
Expectations of what the actors could deliver all starts to factor in. In our case, the actress playing the character of Anya had a lot of trouble with her dialogue, forcing a rewrite of most of her scenes. I'd written a big dramatic monologue for her at the end that would basically explain her motivations for being there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there it is.
This
That's
is-
what I was waiting on.
this
Somebody had
is
said that he
fucking
throws,
content.
one of the actresses under the bus, and there it is.
No, you don't understand. The movie was good. It's just the actress we hired couldn't read her lines, which was really good, guys. I promise. If you read the original lines, it all makes sense.
Like the
movie-
main
rest of the movie's
main
not dog
woman
shit
in the
because of
movie was the problem. The main woman.
We weren't
Yeah.
competent enough to hire a good actress for an important role, and that really fucked us. Is what he's saying.
It had nothing to do with the dialogue she was being given being
And he-
unreadable.
Yeah, he's also there's this layer which we're getting caught on here reasonably of like throwing the actress under the bus, making out that they've hired an actor that can't read lines. But it's also just think about the claim. Yeah, the story was a bit muddy. Nothing was really explained right, but I promise there was a couple of sentences in the original script which made it all perfect. Like what? No, what are you talking about?
What he's saying is that they had to cut out a dump of exposition. Would they basically explain her motivations for being there? That's exposition. It's better that it's not there. It's better that it's cut. It gives a little bit of mystery to her character. Her character, for me, was the best thing in it because we didn't hear her speak too much and she didn't have to deliver his dog shit dialogue.
I do think we were given too little with this character. Like I think that about all of the characters really, but it's like I agree with you that the way to fix that isn't to airdrop a big fucking speech in at the end. It's to kind of thicken out the character the whole way through, right?
So on the new Kickstarter, he does say, or whoever wrote it does say that, like, you know, with this one we aimed it for the fans, the people that supported it. So people that know the books and already know the characters. That's why you didn't understand anything that was fucking going on in this thing. Because, you know, we just dropped you right in the middle of it going on and didn't explain anything. It's, you know, seems like fucking excuse and cope, but for just bad writing. But yeah, so now they're saying that they're going to do it different. They're going to actually write it, you know, so you can follow what the fuck is happening if you haven't read the books or whatever.
That's very generous of them.
Right.
Her past relationship to Drake, and her warning that she wouldn't be around to bail him out next time. It was a neat way of wrapping up her character's presence in the movie, but because she couldn't nail the delivery and there wasn't time to do like 50 takes until she got it right, there was no choice but for Travis, the director, to quickly rewrite the script and improvise a solution. That is just one example of the many things that you absolutely can't control or predict. 3. We wrote the script all wrong. See, when we first came up with the idea...
Is this acknowledging wrongdoing here?
It's going to be like a kind of winky kind of nod toward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of Rogue Elements, we imagined a tiny budget of just £20,000, which might seem like a lot on the surface, but trust me, it isn't when you're trying to make a film. Anyway, we came up with a very basic script along those lines. Ryan Drake has to sneak into a building of some sort, take out a few guards along the way to rescue his target, and eventually runs into Anya, who also happens to be there for reasons of her own. It was a simple but effective way of bringing together the two main characters from the books, with a little bit of action and a hint of the intrigue and mystery that's one of the hallmarks of the series. And the whole thing was designed to be wrapped up in about 15 minutes. That's great and all, but once we realised we now had like 10 times the budget we'd originally asked for, it was pretty obvious that a simple 15-minute short wasn't going to cut it. People were going to expect a lot more from us, and so we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to keep going bigger and more ambitious. So we began adding things to the script.
Is he actually saying that because they had too much money, they couldn't write a better script? Is that what this is?
Well, you would assume that, but then earlier he said he didn't have enough money, so I'm a little confused. They had more money than... No, go on.
No, it's like horseshoe budget, right? There was the sweet spot, but too little money wouldn't have been enough. Too much ruined it. And like, this is obvious. What he's saying here: if this is just like an anonymous first-time filmmaker, this is fair enough. But put it in his context, he should have known better. And also, like all the people that individually gave you a bit of money to make what was sold to them as a short film, a basic short film, you're then saying, oh, we couldn't hack the kind of expansion process that we wanted to do with that. Maybe that's true. Maybe that makes you less skilled at this than you think you are. Whatever. The people that gave you the money, that funded this, they weren't thinking, oh, I'm going to give you £10, but if everyone else gives £10 as well and we get the budget, I want it to be longer. No, they gave the money to, they funded the thing you sold them, and that was a short thing. So, like, why are you even making it bigger? Put that into a kitty and roll that out for the, the bloody Rogue Elements 2 that you're doing now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you've been given 20 grand if you've asked for 20 grand and they've given you 10 times that, you've still said that what you're making is a short film. So why get it in your head that, well, we've had 10 times as much money. They haven't made it 10 times longer. They've only made it 3 times longer. But why would you think we need to expand it to 45 minutes? Make what you said you were going to make, but make it really fucking good.
You can close Kickstarter fundraising rounds, right?
Yep.
That is a thing you can do. Yeah.
I mean, also the scene that he described is in the short film, and it's not amazing. I don't see how just if taking some time the padded time out of the before or after that scene or that moment is going to make that any better. But
the skeleton of that is still in the film, and we'll never know if the original script draft would have made a perfect little pocket of content and it was just ruined by blurting it out. Maybe that is true, but also it's a lot easier to say that's true than that to actually have been the case.
Yeah, much like the actress that can't nail her lines, she just a couple of lines, you guys would be swooning over this.
More characters, more layers of intrigue, and especially more references to people and events from the books. And I think
to shit that nobody would know what the fuck it is. Great.
Get them keys jangling, baby.
That's also not a very good idea if you are going to make what he eventually called this a proof of concept.
Yeah, right. A proof of concept. Why would you make it to where it's literally doesn't explain almost anything about who these people are, other than the most superficial, line to kind of give you some idea. But
there's a tension, right, between pivoting it into a proof of concept, which is basically, hey, bunch of people that don't know what this is, this can be a thing, and kind of fooling it with key jangle nostalgia bay moment for the 20 people that read this. No, that's not fair. It sold well, I think, 15 years ago for the bunch of Scottish people that read this 15 years ago. It's like, on the one hand, you're trying to widen it out, and then on the other hand, you're trying to kind of narrow it back down. I don't know. Doesn't seem like there was a whole bunch of great vision on this.
About the sales of his books, I haven't really looked too hard, but I haven't seen anything how well they sold.
I've not looked super well, but I understand it is a step up from guy who self-published a book and then brags about it. It's a step above that.
It's still airport bookstore dad bait.
Oh yeah.
I think in retrospect, this is where we went a bit wrong with Rogue Elements, because most of the audience weren't familiar with the books and so didn't understand most of the references and allusions to past events. The result is...
I'm willing to bet, I don't know for sure, but I'm just willing to bet that he has complained about the MCU doing stuff like this before.
I'm also willing to bet that I could have read all these books and read the original script or watched the version that did come out, and it wouldn't have been much better.
Right. I mean, almost half the reason for that being that the music was way too fucking loud. Can't fucking understand anything he's saying.
That it all just became a bit bloated and confusing, dumping a lot of information on them and expecting them to just roll with it. They didn't really understand who Anya was, for example, or her relationship to Drake, or the history between the characters that forms a major part of the film. And the rewrites we were forced to do on set certainly didn't help the situation. Also, the idea of taking a simple script designed to be shot quickly and efficiently and bolting more and more stuff onto it to bulk it up was a fundamentally bad approach to script writing. Looking back now, it would have been much better to just scrap the whole...
I mean, you're right, man. If I slandered you, then I'm glad that I did. I'm proud of it, I guess. I don't even know what you're talking about, but cool, man. I'm glad I did that. Cool.
whole concept and build an entirely new story from the ground up. That right there is a very important lesson that we learned. Number 4, this movie was always going to be polarizing. Let's be honest here, when you're a YouTuber that criticizes movies for a living, you're always going to be divisive, and that attitude is going to bleed over into everything that you make. Fans of my channel were probably going to be more forgiving towards a film like this and root for it to succeed, whereas people who just hate me and want to see me fail at everything, we're always going to find reasons to shit on Rogue Element.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
The Eric July cope. It can't possibly be
rent free.
So since they hate Marvel and DC and Disney and all of that, they're going to proactively want for it to fail. That's what he's saying here.
Yeah, notice what's going on here. It's not he's following up the point of, we fucked up in a few ways, probably could have been done better. He's following that up with some of you guys liked it. You're my fans. I love you. You're all, we're all cool little guys. And then some guys didn't like it because they're preying on my downfall. If you didn't like this, you're kind of a hater. You probably hate maxing. You're probably one of these pillar of garbage type people, and that's why people don't like it.
To be fair, you guys should not have spent 2 years making video after video about why this is going to suck. That's probably
true.
Why it failed.
Yeah.
The thousands and thousands of videos between all of your channels that you've made about why Rogue Elements was non-woke.
Man, I tell you what, the day this film dropped was I breathed a sweet sigh of release, because that was actually the first time I slept since the Kickstarter post dropped, because I'd just been live streaming the whole. I mean, you guys know, you were there. We were just going 24/7, hate farming this in anticipation of it dropping. Oh shit! Hold on, I think I'm thinking of some other guys.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of people actually covered this before it got made was tiny.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. Obviously, he's right that there was going to be a divisive reaction to this, more so than just a random guy because he's the critical drinker. And he's right that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's a thing he does, and it's a thing a lot of these guys do, where they tell a truth, but they position it to be a far bigger truth than it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because if you look at the actual facts of it, the numbers of people that watched it. Because people who didn't like it and people who liked it all would have watched it, but the number of people that watched it is tiny compared to the number of people that watch all of his other content.
Yeah, he does a Snow White, 7-minute Snow White review or whatever, and it gets like 1.5 million in 24 hours. He does, drops this shit, and I don't know, it was like a week or two after the last time I saw it, I think, and it didn't have a couple 100,000 maybe.
Yeah.
It's not great, man, and it's it just goes to show what should be pretty obvious to anybody that's not just like one of their cultists, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean they can't make positive content for their channel. They've indoctrinated their audience. So,
yep.
What I'm thinking is, we're on point 4 of this video, right? This point 4 is I'm a YouTuber, therefore it was never going to get a fair treatment. If the whole video had just been point 3, which is a maybe slightly massaged version of the truth of the budget blew up, we didn't know how to account for that, we did the wrong things, we thought it turned out okay, but we understand why people didn't like it. If that was the whole video, I wouldn't fucking be here, and I don't think you guys would either. But it's just because the little shit nugget of truth they always drop is just sandwiched in between so much other bollocks.
Yeah, it always is. And so part of this, I guess, is just like cope for himself, and I imagine he actually tells himself these things, but also it's feeding the potential marks what they need to hear to open their wallets.
Well, yeah, because as I said, no amount of people hating this accounts for how few people watched it.
Yeah.
Wait, is this real? Does he do this? Come on. All right, let's go.
No matter how good or bad it was. And well, if it makes them feel better about themselves to tear apart something like this without ever taking the risk of making anything of their own.
Oh, is that the only reason?
The thing I said earlier.
Come on, man. Come the fuck on, you disingenuous piece of shit. He's been doing it for years, and then he's God damn it. All right.
He's making this. It wasn't his money.
Right. Yeah.
Risk. I guess creative risk, reputational risk, but even still, you know,
I mean,
squirrely language.
To risk one's reputation, one needs to have a reputation to risk, though. Surely.
Fair point.
Fair enough, I guess. That being said, I have been lucky enough to get some actual good faith feedback, so I've tried to compile the most consistent issues here. The first is that the film looks and feels cheap, and I've got to admit, my initial response to this is, no shit. It costs less than most movies spend on catering. The more detailed response is that out of the £300,000 we raised on Kickstarter, about 30,000 of that was lost right off the bat, partly because of taxes, partly from Kickstarter taking their fees, and partly because inevitably a few of the pledges ended up failing or getting revoked. So in the end, we had 270 grand to spend, which isn't a whole lot when you're making a 40-minute short film with a large crew and several pretty challenging actions.
Keep in mind, they started thinking they were going to have 20 grand.
Yeah, and he's just been talking about how they scaled it up and how that was a mistake, and now he's turning around and saying, well, we only had 270 grand, and that's not enough for a big, spectacular, you know...
chose to not continue scaling it up or to scale it back down before you started filming. There's like a whole bunch of time in there, I'm sure, that they could have done that.
Yeah. Point A is most short films, even of this length, have a smaller budget. You know, indie ones at least. Point B is that yes, okay, maybe that isn't enough for what you did, but you've just been telling us how you shouldn't have done what you did. So,
but didn't he also say they saved a bunch of money on fees and rebates? Didn't he say that earlier? So
I didn't know if what he said earlier was just another version of this, like, oh yeah, well, the money got eaten up by Kickstarter.
Yeah,
5%.
I'm not sure if he was saying that that's how much they lost through taxes and fees or how much. I mean, they probably didn't take advantage of any tax breaks because they didn't know about it, if he's to be believed about how bad the job the producers did. But just to contextualize this, in 2010, Gareth Edwards made Monsters for 500,000.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm looking right now, so just like there's different answers, but you know, how much does it generally cost to finance a short film? You know, this one answer here says for a pretty decent, high quality short film, $6,000 to $7,000.
Monsters is almost twice the length as well. I've just looked.
94 minutes, so twice the length, twice the budget.
Jesus Christ.
Doesn't look cheap.
The thing is that this filmed in this. I used to review Arrowverse shows. I know for years. This film with a lot of people in this movie were people like the actress he's talking about. I think her name is Olena, is the actress's name, who played. I think it's Anya is the character. She was on several of the Arrowverse shows, so I know for a fact they save money. I mean, you can save, if I remember correctly, it's like anywhere between 30 and 70% of your budget comes back to you through the government if you use all Canadian actors and crew, which I'm sure he did based on who we see.
Yeah,
in
and that's
the
why they can't do the accents.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Action sequences, all of which eat up a lot of time and budget. Should we have scaled back the action to focus more on character? Possibly, but then we did promote it as an action thriller, and I suspect we'd have been criticized for making something too conservative and boring.
You promoted it as a 15-minute short film.
A little bit difficult to live up to, I guess. I think some people genuinely thought we were going to produce a Michael Bay action movie in a fraction of the time, and with a
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing like a run.
These are like straw man arguments. Nobody,
Right.
I don't remember
Yeah.
anybody saying any of this.
1,000 times smaller. All I can say is that we squeezed every penny we could out of this one, and we pushed the limits of what we could do on this kind of budget because, well, we needed to understand what those limits actually were. Rogue Elements was a test to see what we could achieve with limited resources and how best to go about it. And in that sense, it absolutely did what it needed to do. The second
Note
criticism
also that
I was a bit
all that time has been taken up with, you know, he's going to pick like a couple of good faith criticisms. That one's just eating up a whole bunch of time, and that's like a really weak criticism, like that it looks cheap. Because obviously that's something that people will say only watching Hollywood movies. Yeah, it does look cheap compared to those. It's just that the framing of this video is all over the place, and it's just picking the softest little things and then pretending like they're the hard balls coming your way.
But I also want to point out that originally it was pitched as a short film and then it became a proof of concept. So him sort of rewriting history here by saying this was always going to be, I guess, a learning thing for them. That isn't what he pitched it at originally when he raised all that money. When he raised all that money, he pitched it as a film.
Yeah. I mean, he's a master of reframing narrative. I mean, that's just what he does. I'm really interested to see what he's about to say here. I feel like this is going to be pretty fucked up. Right after this chick aims at his dick and hits him in the head.
Is that I was a bit of a hypocrite for writing girl bosses.
That's the recoil.
When it's
okay, so you wrote girl bosses. What's going to say?
Yeah, I'm ready for this.
Spent so much time calling that shit out in Hollywood movies. And to this, I'd suggest rewatching the film a little bit closer. You might just be surprised by what you see. For example, Anya's big fight scene happens in the warehouse near the end, where she takes down several operatives using a combination of a knife and close-range gunfire. How does she manage this? Because they've just been hit with a stun grenade that went off.
So here's the thing, though. Women actually have slower reflexes, so like they actually, as men, they actually would have recovered faster. So it doesn't work. Kind of, they would have overpowered her. She's a woman. Kind of, it doesn't work.
Wants to get to this before I do, please do. But like, this needs to be done. Somebody, his Prey review. I remember him essentially dismissing the shit that she does to fight that, despite there being plenty of reasons why she was able. It's not like she just like one-on-one soloed that fucking Predator. There was
I've made a video literally all about. It's like a sort of. It's not a recap. It's like a bit by bit rereading of that movie about how the entire theme of it is like adaptation, right?
Yeah.
All throughout the movie, you see her pick these little things up, and then the only way she beats the Predator, or even the French guys earlier on, is through all these little things. That's
Brotherhood too.
Yeah, exactly. That's bad. That's woke. But no, actually, she threw a flashbang here, and that's kind of different.
Man, that's clever writing. That's how you just get by all that girl boss bullshit right there. Is a flashbang.
Also, is he saying that his main female character is just a weak woman?
Yeah, she couldn't have done it if she didn't.
Even though she's got a long relationship with Ryan Drake, presumably of him always saving her because she is such a weak woman.
Right.
Who, although saying that, she does survive a rocket launcher blast, which can't be that weak.
Also, it probably also should be said, the whole. Hey guys, maybe you should watch the movie a bit more closely. Maybe you guys should watch it again if you think that. It's like, all right, buddy. Thing is though, if a million people watch it, they didn't, and come away with the idea that she's a girl boss, and your whole thing is you want movies not to present women as girl bosses. Like maybe technically she isn't, but you failed in presenting that. Oh shit, I need to change the title of my Prey video back. I changed it for a stupid joke in a group chat and it's still public. Have you guys seen the Instagram meme of the guys from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? The little twins.
Yeah,
there's like some stupid edit someone made of them, like a commercial they did, and that if any of you have got brain rot, go on Instagram and search up I crushed the alien. It's a stupid meme. And a few days ago, I changed this public video that's got thousands of views from Prey, how to kill an alien, to Prey, how to crush the alien. And I forgot to change it back. That's completely unrelated.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, man. I think that's what he's trying to say here, which I guess he just forgot in many reviews. I'm confident that he's done of other movies.
Right in the middle of the room. Most of them can barely even see or hear at this point, never mind fight, so that gives her a tremendous advantage. The other example...
If you apply context to what actually happens in the film, then it's not as reductive as he says people were making it.
Well, right.
Interesting. It's interesting.
Luckily, his fans never actually watch the film that he comments on, so they will be completely clueless about any sort of contextual explanation for girl bosses that he's called out.
And I think over time, more and more of these guys' audience do not watch the films. You know what I mean? Like it's
there's a drop off.
I think that they generally they will just watch this content and think that they've seen the movie essentially. I mean, there was that one Smud boy that was making videos back and forth with Edgier Than Now, who they had not seen what movie was that? Anyway, I forget the name of the movie, but it was
the point stands.
Yeah.
Example is Frost's rooftop fight scene against Kroger, where he's clearly way bigger and stronger than her, but doesn't just immediately knock her out. Girl boss much? Well, again, I mean,
did she like do like the jump and scissor legs on his head thing that Black Widow does? No.
To be fair to her, that one punch clearly missed, and if we know anything from their coverage of the Echo Daredevil fight scene, that's fine.
Indefensible.
True.
If you actually pay attention to the fight, you'll notice that she's never once portrayed as a match for him physically and has to resort to weapons and ambushes to try to even the odds.
So this is all sort of like cherry picking stuff. He's just coming up with cope reasons for why he doesn't think she's a girl boss.
And note that what he's just said there is essentially, some people were asking why this woman put up a fight against this guy. But if you watch it, you'll notice that she never actually puts up a fight with this guy.
Well, the implication of what he's saying is that it's stuff in like, Marvel or whatever the hell that he typically talks about, Disney products mostly, that the girl is presented as being a match for a bigger guy, which I don't know that really is the case at all, unless there's some kind of like superpowers involved or whatever. But like, just
It sometimes is, but it's like it's always the woman who is the match, has some spy training or whatever that is like you as the viewer don't know what level that went to, so you kind of buy it as an explanation. And hey, why am I saying this? Everyone with a fucking brain that doesn't watch media in bad faith knows that.
Although Claudia Winkleman here must have some sort of superpower because she's not bleeding, she's not bruised, she seems completely unaffected by the blows that the big fellow was raining down on her. So
yeah, this might be in a previous shot actually. This is just my deep special interest knowledge of the
I thought this was before the rooftop. I thought this was after the rooftop fight.
I mean, I might be wrong.
Because I'm pretty sure this.
Oh no, you're right. Because then she lifts him up and he gets shot, right?
Yep, picks him up, raises him up.
Yep, and he gets sniped by a man, as it should be.
My God, continuity error.
You remember the beginning of this where it's got the other chick? She's like in the same car, parking garage as the people she's gonna snipe, like a few rows away.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy.
Well, no doubt if all the guys in that car park were also Critical Drinkers fans, they wouldn't notice a woman anyway.
Even then, she's barely able to hold her own and soon gets cornered and overpowered and has to be saved by one of her teammates. Kroger even mentions at one point when he has her
hold her own, so she does hold her own, is what he's saying.
I mean, he's right in that in this scene he gets the better of her pretty quickly, but he's just been showing us the previous scene where he doesn't.
pinned down that he's not even trying. He's just toying with her, basically, drawing the fight out for his own amusement. The whole thing was specifically scripted and choreographed to avoid the kind of girl boss bullshit you see in so many movies now. Yeah, we still wanted it to
be he's not even trying there. He's not even trying. You can see by the look on his face, he's not even trying.
I mean, I buy that they tried to do that. But like, when the result of you, here's the thing. When you script out and choreograph out a sequence with the idea that, okay, these people aren't necessarily a physical match, but you've got to have a bit of a fight to make it look convincing, and the end result of that is something that gets read as, oh, wow, she's not instantly vaporized, girl boss match, then what you should do is you should reflect, right? You shouldn't just say, no, actually, we planned it out to avoid that. You should think, maybe, what about if all the stuff I'm calling girl boss is the exact same fucking thing as this?
Yes. Yeah, he should really just stop and take a moment to just shove his own head up his fucking ass.
Could you imagine if, like, every time Disney or, Marvel or one of these other companies got criticism about girl bosses, they made cope videos about it? Like, this is why they're not a girl boss. Like, it's just so stupid.
Also did what we could to make it somewhat believable. The other big criticism is that the script writing is just bad and unoriginal, like any other generic action thriller story. And this is actually an interesting one because it gets right to the heart of what we do with this movie. Yes, we absolutely could have produced some crazy experimental piece of surreal existentialism that 90% of the audience...
Wait, is that the only two options? Just like
it is.
Or some kind of experimental...
Those are the only two films that get made, Dane. Come on. You should be watching
you either watch fucking Solaris or you're watching... what's an action movie? Mission Impossible. Those are the only two movies that exist, which is why the movie we're currently watching is Mission Impossible, as we're all aware. Yeah. Only two movies exist.
Right up there. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that they had to, do safety regulations and stuff, because they never do that in Mission Impossible movies.
Oh, no.
Fucking wokeness.
wouldn't even understand or have any interest in. But when you're taking your first shot at something like this, and more importantly, you're spending other people's money to do it, you're very much aware of the pressure and expectation that's on you. There's a time and a place to take wild creative risks and do something completely out of left field, but for us, this wasn't it. This was a time to play it safer and more conventional, and if people want to criticize...
That's the spectrum right there, the two possibilities of film.
I love this because obviously, as is immediately apparent to any living organism with ears, this is like the biggest fucking false dichotomy ever created, right? But then he's coming down on the correct side of that false dichotomy and just owning like, yeah, we went the generic route, and it's like, thank you for saying that. That's kind of that's not the end of it though, is it? Like,
I don't think he understands that there's a difference between, like, when you go into a supermarket, you can either have the granola, or you can have Kellogg's cornflakes, or you can have Shop's own brand cornflakes. And what he's made is the Shop's own brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great because, like, when people are saying this, sorry, I want to circle back to the cereal conversation in a minute because I'm actually getting kind of hungry right now. But it's like, yeah, okay, it's generic. And then what, drinker? You know, the and then what is, where's the fucking difference between all the shit you complain about and this? But it's just gonna, he's just gonna cut it off at the we did a little generic. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, he calls other stuff bland. That's one of his favorite words, bland, uninspiring. Like, he says that about a lot of Hollywood films.
And like the rest of the token criticisms he brings up here to kind of defang and take apart, like, he lops a section off, gives like a half-hearted, yeah, okay, maybe, if that's like your opinion, man, and then just sets it down. And it's like all of those were going somewhere. People who said those, that was never the end of the story, that this is the beginning of the criticism, and you're treating it like the entire fucking article. But speak your shit, do your shit.
Sizes for that? Well, I'm happy to take that on the chin. All of this is to say that Rogue Elements for us was very much a first step. It was always going to be an imperfect first step, and in hindsight, it's easy to see where certain things could have been done differently, but ultimately, I think it achieved what we set out to do with it. It basically taught us how to make films, the things that
That's
work.
what they set out to do. They set out to do this.
This is like the guy who buys the $10,000 camera to like get into amateur photography.
Yeah.
No, this is like the guy who borrows his friend's money to do that.
He buys a fucking, just like a 12 or like a $7,000 fucking Les Paul.
Oh yeah, no, this is that guy. Those guys exist, and this is that guy
for sure.
Yeah, if I was going to learn how to make film, maybe I would have stopped the Kickstarter at 20,000.
Yeah,
he's just going through and looking at the feedback that he gets. He's literally just glossing over any negative criticism, and he's kind of just like shoving that over here in the
picking
corner.
out the easiest.
What do they expect me to do?
Through,
Some kind of fucking, and then creating a straw man out of that. But then he's, zeroing in on anybody that's just like, slurping his knob about how great these actors are or something, and he's like, oh, we're gonna get those actors back. And,
except though, all of the actors back. Some of the actors sucked and they ruined the project because they were the problem, and everything I do is great, and they ruined the project. But we're gonna get them all back because they're all great.
Are they getting the blonde chick back?
I think he said at one point that they were getting the whole cast back. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought
the cast is back. Everyone had such a great experience on Rogue Elements that they were eager to come back. That's what
what it is? It's just like how Tommy Wiseau bought like 2 different types of camera and everything to film the room and shit. You know what I mean? He had all this money and he had no idea how to do it. It's
okay. The Anya actress isn't in any of the
actually.
The
room is more enjoyable to watch. So,
oh yeah, the room's a better made film than this.
Well, and the things that could have been done better. And now that we have the opportunity to apply those lessons to what we do next, it seems silly not to make use of them. Anyway, this is my long and pretty rambling way of getting down my thoughts about this film, what I learned about it, and well, what I hope to accomplish next. And I'm sorry if I bored the arse off you, but if you're interested to learn a bit more about it, then there it is.
I've learned nothing more about it.
It does read like this was only made unlisted as a decision at the publishing stage. Like he felt like he made this thinking it was going to go out wider, right?
Well, the issue he has with making it public is if that girl is coming back, she's going to see it.
Yeah. And also drawing all his viewers' attention to the fact that this movie exists and isn't very good.
And also a lot of the criticisms that he dismissed easily were from people who actually support him.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like,
that's a tricky one.
This is the face like everybody collectively makes after like
Yeah.
watching Elements. It's just like, all right. Wait, there's a couple more seconds here. Let's see.
But
Anyway, that's all
no,
I've
he's
got
just
for
going to say his catchphrase.
Yeah.
All right.
But based on that video as well, if the next ones are the same and are not the best films ever made, then what's the excuse going to be? They
Yeah,
did it all, right?
Yeah, now there's no more, like, he can't keep using the same excuse. He says he's learned all these lessons, which means
Yeah,
that
it is
the
a
next one should be
break
better.
glass in case of
Although
criticism.
he has promised us it will be generic. So
Oh, okay, there we go. Jack here with a $5 super chat over on my channel. Thank you, Jack. Filmmakers like Percy Jackson, John Waters, and many others started out making very low budget films, but the difference they made them with passion. Yeah, John Waters, I think the most expensive film he ever made, he had one studio back film in the 80s. I think it was the 80s. It was like it was like the ones that we have now. It was actually, I believe the budget was the same as Rogue Elements. I think it was like around $300,000 to make that movie. It was a studio back film, but all of his independent, like Pink Flamingos and all those movies that are historically like cult classics, cost him less than $20,000 to make. Jeez. So it just comes down to being smart about your budget. Like
well, they probably weren't doing all that woke safety and health regulation stuff.
Oh yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, look, it's not passion. They mistake their spite for passion. They think that they're passionate when really they're just driven by spite.
You guys want to talk about passion? Like, hey, I don't know about you guys. I'm still getting comments on my Critical Drinker videos. I go on. Let me pull Studio up.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy says, "Pillar of garbage. Your desperation for views is apparent. Quit going after critics who don't like movies that you do." Blah 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 blah. So this is an accusation we all get, right? You're just doing this for the clicks. You're just doing this for the money or whatever. Despite the fact that someone like Critical Drinker occupies a very small chunk of our collective oeuvres, right? But here's the thing. We're not chopping this up into little tiny, we're not, this whole stream is not going to be 8-minute mid-roll monetized clips. Maybe a few of them go up, but we're not milking this. I could do any number of videos going over the stuff we've talked about here on my channel, and I could earn a good fucking bag for those. I'll tell you that much. But no. We're here. We're live streaming for you, the people, breaking this shit down, because we're not fucking professional haters. We're in it for the love of the game.
My channel is literally
passion.
I will definitely upload, some of this onto my channel in a couple of days, but it's not going to get any ad revenue.
Grifter.
So.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Totally. Well.
I thought I respected you. Yeah, you're clearly just doing it for the fucking clicks.
I don't know why you did that. I don't respect myself, so. So let's take a look at the Kickstarter again real quick. The Kid Puncher, as I call it.
Yeah, so I noticed here that it does say everyone was excited to come back, but I think that just means everyone of the people we're talking about here, because again, there is no mention of future plans for that Anya character.
Yeah, well, broads aren't anyone. They don't count.
Yeah.
I can tell you as well, that's marketing, because I know people that make films and these actors that they've got and the crew they've got, you pay them and they'll come.
Yeah. Pay them and they don't have a better offer, they'll be there. They'll be eating the what's it called? Like craft catering, is that what it is?
Yeah, well, according to him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they had the £30,000 catering for these guys.
Yeah, they're probably eating pretty good. I can't believe they're literally just listing Mahler with his stupid capitalized L in the middle of it and everything. Like, fucking come on. And they
So do we have to deal with Mahler learning how to do something? Is that the next thing? Is that when Mahler does it, it's like he was learning something?
Mahler not learning how to do something.
I'm writing a script, so that's why it's bad. He's never done anything short before, so he's a long-form media expert, is how it describes him here. I can't fucking fathom writing that and not kind of making fun of him, knowingly making fun
not kind of smashing your head against the desk until you start bleeding afterwards.
It's also so grammatically vague. What that suggests to anyone who doesn't know who he is that he makes expert media criticism on long-form media.
Yeah.
Not that he makes long videos about films he doesn't like by nitpicking everything.
And the thing is, you know, we talk about the fact that it's tricky for, like, there's not necessarily the automatic crossover you might think in, if you're good at writing novels, you're good at writing films or anything like this. But, and that's true. But the thing that goes kind of below that is, even when you have that discussion, there's this idea of good writing, right? And these guys traffic in it a lot. But as any of, you know, it's hard to even go from one type of creative nonfiction writing to another type, right? If I went from writing YouTube video essays to trying to submit pieces for journals, that'd be tricky. Equally, it gets so much trickier when you try and cross over from something like creative nonfiction to any kind of fiction. It's hard to, like, write a short story or a novel if you don't know what you're doing. And, like, the way this is kind of just like skating across these false equivalencies of, like, hey, it's just good writing, guys. It's not that hard that these guys have been laying out. It's a sight to behold.
Yeah. Just
because
the hand waving away is bad writing, the way, to the degree that they do, and then, you know, getting this granular about defending, you know, his little fucking piece of shit short film. Yeah, it's definitely it's a trip.
I mean, fundamentally, when writing fiction, it's a bit like time travel. Everything you do in one scene has a potential to have a knock-on effect to everything that happens in the next scene. And most people don't focus on every little thing. Most people will ignore things like continuity errors because they largely don't matter. They're a bit of fun to poke at, but they don't matter unless they're glaringly obvious. But this is why I think that the structure that he's chosen to go for his short seems to basically have no plot.
Yeah.
It seems to be just two people talking in a room, which I'll be comparing to Pinter, because Pinter was an expert at that.
Pinter. Yeah, I reckon this guy's got the dumb waiter pipped. You know, Mauler is going to be the second coming of Harold Pinter. I'm calling. I did think, wouldn't it be hilarious if he's ripping off the dumb waiter because he thinks it's not very well known, and so he's just going to lift it verbatim? That would be funny. That'd be the funny ending, yeah.
But yeah, if there's no plot, if it is just two characters talking, then it doesn't matter what they say, because you can always put it down to unreliable narrator. If there's a continuity error, or if there's a plot hole, that's just what that character says. That's not what really happened. So yeah, I think it's going to be, he's going to spend more time making sure that there are no plot holes than he is actually delivering anything good, because
it could go any number of ways, and we could spend the whole night poking holes in what is likely to be the result here. But I don't think we need to, because I feel like these guys will poke them holes themselves.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I guess I just don't understand how did Mueller even, like, how did that come up? How did they decide? You know, I mean, I guess what
name value. Hey, what's Mueller doing here?
You know, why?
Me.
Well, they've been together a lot recently. They've been reviewing.
Ryan, you're like kind
of.
The wind tunnel has claimed another victim.
Yeah, that's weird. Is it better now?
Yeah, I think it's a StreamYard thing. I don't know.
Yeah, because Pillar had it briefly, but not for too long. But yeah,
dear.
They've been working together reviewing the first series, well, the only series of Firefly and the Serenity film, and nobody's watching it.
Oh,
it's got like each review has got like 10,000 views, which I would kill for, but
yeah,
I don't have over
that's
2
rough
million.
for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, I'm seeing more and more. I keep an eye on all these channels. Like, the fragmentation is really affecting them, because there's no cohesive narrative really other than Snow White, and that's not gonna sustain them. So,
I mean, yeah, kind of seems like a.
That's true. True facts.
There's only so long you can do kind of anti-woke CPR on Snow White's rotting corpse.
Yeah, I mean, unless like Disney said, like that hit piece on her gave them like so many more videos. They made so many more videos after that came out. But I'm actually losing my voice now, so I'm gonna jump out of here. But I will see everyone later on. I feel like I'm not gonna be able to talk much longer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, get some rest, man.
So, all right, see everyone later. Take care.
Later.
See ya.
But speaking of Snow White, I do have here. So just a couple hours ago, this guy released a video. Let me get that set here. It's a short one. It's the ripoff verse.
Oh, come on. How can it? Oh, no sound.
Ooh, steady now, Brownwind. Greetings and salutations, and a merry morn to you all. Now I have a matter of great importance that I must undertake. Hark, what is it I hear you all say? Well, it's my moral duty as a 40-year-old man to go and watch the new Disney live action Snow White. That's right, it's a film made for 8-year-olds, but I have to pretend I'm the resistance against some imaginary woke boogeyman, along with a few other absolutely talentless infantile retards who also gaslight.
Is this Pillar or Ryan doing this voice? It's really good.
Well, it must be one of us.
Yeah. Just wondering. Good job.
Kids that they're some kind of anti-woke superheroes when in reality all they do is just whine and complain about everything. But the sun is chasing our shadows this fine eve. Come, brown wind, let us gallop into the might. Ah! Okay, stop, please press stop. Don't film this bit, please. Have you pressed stop? Aha! Found you! Where's all the other men? Greetings, wench. Oh. You won't stop me. One adult for Snow White, please. Today, come on. Coming through, excuse me, coming through, excuse me, coming through. Move your feet, please. Move your feet, please. Move your feet. Feet. Move your, see, that wasn't difficult now, was it? Coming through, excuse me, night coming through, excuse me, coming through.
Is this just to be Shad, by the way?
Yeah.
Use that, please.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Isn't he Australian?
And it's not.
Yeah, the voice isn't perfect. He's.
Yeah.
It might be suffering from a bit of like that, you know, Anglosphere syndrome. Do you ever notice this, Ryan, where people across the pond hear someone speaking English in an accent they don't recognize and just think, he's from England.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Although, I mean, we can talk about this later, but I think this is like an AI voice.
Oh,
generally.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's just not very it's far better for the other characters that this guy does.
He gets pretty good ones. You know,
I've heard way better AI imitation filters than this.
Have you seen the one with Bob Chaos that he did with Eric July? There's one of those.
I think, what is it, recreating that debate about the legacy characters? Yeah.
About mainly about Amazing Fantasy 15. He's just asking repeatedly if he's ever read it, and he's like, yeah. So
oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
Started. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. Here we go. I'm outraged already. Look at that. The expectations these characters have. It's just unrealistic. I feel sick.
All you have to do to make
this is hell. I have to push through. I'm so offended.
voice will carry through and bring that dream to you.
If you dissect a relationship like that, you'll find that the human condition works structurally on a much more emotionally sophisticated trajectory. This is shocking. This is not 100% exactly the same as the original 16th century telling of the story.
I like sing-song.
No, you're not allowed to like it.
Daddy.
Every atom of my soul is outraged.
I like the dancing.
No, you don't like it. Ooh, you just wait until I tell other 40-year-old men how offended I am about this.
That's him, Daddy.
Is it now? Right, come here, you weirdo.
No, stop! Galadriel, save me! Ah! Well, I have to say, I am utterly disgusted with this children's film. The true complex nature of what one would obviously know to be the one and only telling of Snow. Whoa! You hooligan! You kids today, you'll never grow into accomplished, mature adults.
Okay, gay video. I'm 45 years old. I see Disney Snow White on my own, and here's a pathetically infantile and performative video about how it hurt my feelings. Damn it! I'm so damn angry about freaking Snow White.
All right, not his
This-
best work, but you know, it's all right.
It's good though because like there is this kind of invisible naturalizing kind of effect that watching a video file through the YouTube player has, right? There's just something about it being on YouTube.com and seeing the little logo that you will look at like a grown man going to the pictures and seeing this, or even just like, you know, and I don't want to knock on people who enjoy merch, right? That's fine. Like the way like a 50-year-old man will sit in front of like walls and walls of fucking Funko Pops or whatever, and like
Hey,
it's I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it turns into nothing. Ah, there you go. No, but like point being, like your space has personality, but it's not like a kind of synthetic sort of terrarium of like fanhood that you're kind of latching onto. And I just mean, we will look at Nerdrotic's set and we won't see this is a set. We will look at these people going to the cinemas and just kind of see through that and just look and see the kind of narrative they're presenting. And there's a funny way in which these kind of rip-off verse type puppet things, in taking that, in distorting it even further, in just making them little felt guys running around, it kind of cuts through that, kind of doubles back on itself, you know?
Yeah, because there's like a certain amount of lag with growing up on television where you understand that everything is illusion from a relatively young age. That with YouTube, when it first started, certainly it was all pretty raw and pretty real. None of it was stage managed, and so that sort of hangs over. I mean, like the Brett Cooper set, which was a set made to look like a bedroom, but was a set. It's that you can't tell what's authentic and inauthentic anymore.
Yeah,
true.
Whereas whereas my Funko Pops are completely authentic.
Oh yeah,
they are.
They're the good ones.
They're not all mine. Most of those ones are my partner's, and she likes them. So
yeah, and like there's a difference between having some Funko Pops and like the backdrop of the version you present to yourself, the version of yourself you present to the world, like just being this kind of so constructed reality. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like fucking Eric July is one of the most glaring examples to me, and I think other people have noticed it too. But like, I think Eric DeBunks was talking about it recently. But so the stuff that he used to, not now because he's got all his Rippaverse, bullshit behind him on his set now, but like earlier on in his YouTube career, all of his Marvel and DC stuff is like the shit you get at like Walmart or Target.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Where it's like typically, people that I know, myself included, like that have been fans of this stuff for a long time, you actually try to go for stuff that you can't just pick up anywhere. And it's all just like the exact items that you can literally just go spend $50 at Walmart to fill up the wall behind you.
Same for Nerdrotic. His earlier stuff, when he was just in a room, like he had like shelves and cupboards and things in there with just stuff in, and it was authentic. And although it's the same basic stuff that he's got in his current set, that set is curated.
Is that what you're saying, Pillar?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Some of these chuds are I'm saying that some of these chuds are fake ass bitches, but that the interesting, there is a power and kind of mockery and response like we see with Rip-Off Verse, where in double faking the fakeness, the reality of it falls away. Also, in terms of deep things the chat is saying, someone said something earlier which made me laugh. I don't agree with this, obviously. I feel like a lot of people outside the US wouldn't either. But it is very funny. Critical Ox said, in my defense, you fuckers all sound alike. English, British, Scottish, New Zealand people, and kangaroo people all sound the same. Lol.
I don't
That
honestly,
is good content.
I don't get it. I mean, I literally can tell the difference between all of these accents. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I dated an Australian woman a couple of years ago, so maybe that helped. But yeah.
Yeah, every time she walked
Maybe
in
it's
she'd be like, "Oh, hi, Dean, how you doing today?" And you'd be like, "Yes, I know this
Cheerio,
accent."
There's this one too. I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but
way of using an existing model to harvest money from the same audience, then everyone can win, right?
Yeah, we will win. We will win. Buy ISOM, y'all.
You've got to be fucking
Oh my
kidding
god,
me.
this is unreal.
Listen, you stupid fucking low IQ bastard. Gary, me, and Wank 3PO have all seen that it's possible to milk the same shared audience of dumb fucking subscribers of Cash by evangelizing about a bullshit non-existent culture war, and how if you buy this bullshit merch, you're somehow a hero winning a war! So, together with our zero literary talent and artistic abilities, have thrown together dog piss fucking awful books simply so we can desperately try and ride your same snake oil train like suckling fucking remora fish and see how much money we can make for ourselves too.
yeah, that's pretty good voice actually. That's spot on.
Yeah, there's a. Have you seen the one where they go to a con?
Maybe
it starts off with Eric having a nightmare about them going to a con, and the whole gang is there. Their version, rip-off versus version of Critical Drinker, is Chef's Kiss.
Oh yeah, that's the one where like basically it points out how Eric July attaches his rip reverse shit to the entire, like all of the Fandom Menace guys, so that they have like one booth, but it, because all of their audiences combined, it kind of makes them look like, you can take pictures of just the of the line and it looks like they're all for him. But like, yeah, we watched I still have a part 2 of that anyway, the panel where they were at MagaCon or whatever, and we were looking at the makeup of the audience, and it's like, I mean, probably 70% looks older than 50, 55 years old. And then there's of course only like 5 women in the whole thing, and it just becomes clear that like if you can't at a big con in Florida can't have mostly younger people, then you're not really any kind of tastemaker or anything, right? Like you don't have your finger on the pulse of anything. You're just grifting off of lapsed.
Yeah, you got your finger on the pacemaker.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I think that's what a lot of the grievances of their audience come from. It's coming from being sadly classed by like advertisers basically as no longer being relevant and no longer being pandered to. If you've been pandered to up until you're like 40 and then that tap switches off.
Abe Simpson syndrome.
Yep.
That's it. What else do we have we're going to talk about today? Well, I mean, I guess it's just worth pointing out that it doesn't even look like that Daily Wire, the conservative Snow White that they all championed whenever that teaser dropped, it's going to destroy. I mean, it looks like actually Disney's is going to destroy that one. So,
no.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right at all. I was assured that would not be the case.
Right.
Don't you remember this century's Frost Nixon when Shapiro met Jordan and Will Jordan, that is. The drinker was certain that he was going to see a battle for the ages as Daily Wire took on Disney.
Yeah, exactly. He's not that type to make shit up.
So, actually, did see something about, speaking of a Jordan Jordan Peterson losing his shit because I guess something relating to the Daily Wire. But I don't know if it's clickbait. I haven't watched it yet. I don't want to click on something, make you guys watch it, and it's not really what it presented itself to be.
Also, Jordan Peterson losing his shit. I feel like as the years have gone by, that's become less and less of a kind of newsworthy item.
It's not so novel. It's anyway. Yeah, what do you guys got going on? Any content coming up you can talk about, Pillar?
Yeah, I got some stuff. I tell you what, today I worked on 4 separate upcoming videos. Uploads have slowed down a bit, but I'm kind of trying to. there's stuff going on. I polished off the first draft of a script, which I actually think Chariot might be given it a look over because it's getting into some theoretical territory. So,
Nice.
yeah, I asked the favor there, and that'll be out at some point. I think here's the thing. Not to gas myself up too much, it might be the best video I've ever written.
Whoa.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Soon afterwards, I will be releasing a very fucking long Marvel bad video. I'm actually cashing out of this whole anti-fan thing, and I'm gonna throw my lot in with them. MCU bad. Hey, maybe it'll even be because of wokeness. Who knows? But no, a video about Brave New World kind of not being fantastic, and it's kind of an analysis of where the MCU is at right now. And then that's going to have a Patreon exclusive kind of accompaniment video talking about how the Daredevil show that's coming out at the moment is kind of the counter example there, and is kind of good. And
very, I think.
Yeah, and after that, early draft. Just let me finish shilling for just 1 second here. Video coming out. I'll just give you guys the title. We're going to build some hype. The Collapse of Civilization (brackets 7).
Oh, so just like
pretty good title.
Shit.
Well, it's about
related.
It's about. Imagine if the 7th game in the Civilization game series was also kind of unintentionally a kind of mirror to the perma-crisis we're all living through. Wouldn't that make for a fun video essay?
That would be. It'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of stuck on the this anti-MCU content that you're starting to make, because it seems like every progressive kind of YouTuber leans that way eventually. I guess.
Hey, what can I say? Rent's due.
Right.
Well,
no,
I just in
I
order
believe
to
you'll have some nuanced things to say, and I definitely don't think that the MCU is the most awesome it's ever been right now. So.
Although I will say, to defend Brave New World, have you considered that it had both not enough money and too much money?
Well, yeah, it could be that old chestnut. I didn't actually think about that one. Yeah.
Well, they only had the
generic on purpose,
or something like that transcends filmmaking.
And there's probably also like the woke lifeguards, because there's a big section of that movie, spoiler alert, that takes place kind of in the ocean. So imagine all the fucking woke lifeguards they would have had to hire for that.
Plus, there's that one fucking couldn't say her lines.
Oh yeah.
From my understanding, it was a choice between making another Captain America film or making the Captain America Does Jacob's Ladder. Which, you don't think about it, would be really interesting.
No, that's actually also that's why the Israeli character got cut down so much. It wasn't because of the genocide or any of that shit going on. It's just because Shira Haas just couldn't remember her monologues.
It just sucks, man. And what do you think about the Spider-Man movie news? That's pretty exciting, right? No,
I didn't know about it.
I didn't either. Like, I wasn't even certain until just a little while ago, like while we were on stream, that it is real, because they announced it like several hours before April Fool's Day.
It's just at this point, it's just a title and a director, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's that. But then also, based on the title and what I think Tom Holland is quoted as saying some stuff, that essentially it is what the ending of No Way Home sets up. That so he's just like basically the Spider-Man that we are familiar with, not the one that's like in Tony Stark's pocket. And
okay, well, as long as it's not half the film full of multiverse bollocks. Not to say that I didn't like No Way Home, but as long as half the film isn't that. Hey, I'm on board. Let's go. Spider-Man WW forever in chat, guys. Let's get it trending.
So which one of you here on this panel today said that no one cares about his projects? Which one of you said that? One of you must have said
none of us said that. We know he's got cash cows.
Yeah.
Well, one of us must have, because Sean B's saying it.
He wouldn't say this. What is it? I mean, it would just be like coping and just like lashing out.
I think we've said that like a small portion of his audience, relative to the ones that get on board with the media bad shit, have actually watched that first film. But that's kind of just looking at numbers which exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we should have mentioned that his original one was 20,000 that he asked for, and then he got 10 times that amount. I don't think we mentioned that enough.
No, probably slipped through the cracks.
We spent too much time talking about how like literally nobody cares about the critical drinker. We must have been saying that because that guy thinks so.
Yeah.
Anyway. You know, if it wasn't for fucking straw man arguments, and they'd have nothing really. That's the way it goes. I wouldn't expect anything more from a critical drinker fan. Just like I wouldn't expect anything but like deranged fucking attempts at insulting and breaking down the character of someone from a EFAT fan. That's just what their guy does, so they're going to do that too.
While I've got the opportunity, though, obviously I've highlighted it to you, Dane, but I wanted to maybe get the rest of the audience to go check out a couple of videos.
Yeah.
One is 10 woke movies that did not go broke, and that is by the Double Take. He's at the Double Take 710, and I think that is a fantastic video. And the other one is about Rogue One, which Pillow Garbage might be interested in because I think it's fantastically well made
Oh, it's
as
been
well.
shared a few places. Yeah, it's on my watch later now. The documentary thing.
The myth that,
Yeah.
the myth that Rogue One shattered. Yeah, it's really well made. It's yeah. So this guy had a very big gap in his video production, but has put in a call to action with his latest one for people who are fed up of people calling everything woke and going broke. So that's a really good video.
Damn.
And he hates Jordan Peterson. So
yeah, win-win. There you go.
But yeah. So Artor, ARTORR is the other one. That's the myth that Rogue One shattered. It's fantastically well made. He manages to basically extol the virtues of Rogue One by also taking you through the plot, and the editing is fantastic in it. So yeah, that those are my two recommendations, as well as, of course,
that up tomorrow.
everything by the Shillcast, which you should subscribe to. All of these folks.
Media makes some really great content if you just want to not think about these pieces of shit that we talk about a lot.
And hey, if you guys if you guys are looking for a movie rec that is really good, except for the amount of money that it had and the dialogue and the action sequences, because all of these things are, they are good, but that you have to be a good watcher to understand them. And there was supposed to be some explanation at the end, but that kind of didn't make it in. Blah blah blah. Hey, got a movie for you.
Mm-hmm. And some more coming, apparently.
Yeah, a few more.
Because
Edric Cinematic Universe, baby.
Now, guys, that's why Mahler has a job writing a movie, because of meritocracy. That's where we're at. Right?
Yeah. I think so.
And I'm gonna have some stuff coming out over the next couple of days. And one of them actually is going to be the one that I've been promising for over a week now, which is a Nerdrotic compilation. It's going to be just swell. And it's going to not just be like a bunch of clips just jammed back to back. It's actually going to be, I'm going to be doing a thing with it. Okay. And I'll give you guys a hint. The thing I'm going to do with it, as far as like a framing device, is going to be something that I haven't done since a video that I have with Pillar of Garbage on my channel.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Is it going to be 4 hours of lo-fi nerdrotic beats to study/sleep to?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. Cue that shit up right now. Let's go.
I have been working on music though, so I've got like several fucking songs that I just need to start recording some vocals to. But
that's
like,
big.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm jealous. I went to turn my amp on the other day, and it didn't turn on.
What?
Yeah.
What kind of amp is it?
It's a Vox AC15.
Okay. Is it old?
It's one of the. It's not like old. It's like when I bought it. Like probably like 8 years ago now. It was kind of newish. It was secondhand, but it was like newish. It's not like retro or anything. But yeah, doesn't work anymore. So I guess that was all she wrote.
The Bill Burr clip is 30 seconds, by the way. Okay, so who's? I'll look it up. All right, you keep saying it, and I do want to see that. So, Bill Burr, what does something to woke? Because when I want to show you, I tried to look it up earlier briefly, and like I looked up Bill Burr and woke, and it's insane how different the content about Bill Burr and wokeness is. Okay.
Yeah, the recent turn against him is just wild.
Wait, are they turning on Bill Burr?
Oh yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Well,
Like, you
he's
go
criticized some
you know,
right-wing people, so
Bill Burr is shitting on wokeness, but then like now you've
Well,
got
his tragic downfall. Yeah, only people who fucking stink and whose opinions you don't care about think he's had a downfall.
Scroll down to that Matt Walsh one again. When did Bill Burr become such a pathetic dork? Out of those two images, which
Holy
one looks
shit.
like the pathetic dork?
Cope and fucking seethe. That is ridiculous. He's doing like the soy jack face into camera and like calling another guy pathetic dork. That's amazing.
Apparently,
Get it
since
going,
Bill
trending
Burr had a
anyway.
go at Elon,
We're
he's
upset about
spoke
the
now.
new Cinderella.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to do a little introduction for Pilly. Ever since he said something negative about Elon, the right hate him now, and they think he's become a lefty liberal, either because his wife is black or because he was in The Mandalorian.
What gross pieces of shit,
Well,
man.
that'll do it.
Yeah.
But hey, don't forget, comedy's legal now, guys.
Comedy's legal, yeah. Unless
Yeah,
you have a black
comedy's legal
wife.
on X. Yes.
So is fucking hilarious. Have you seen this fucking My People, Whitey?
He confuses Cinderella and Snow White. That's what a man of like, generally over 25 years old probably should do, is confuse those two. He's so fucking fixated on him. You know who the actress and the fucking, what's going on with the dwarves and all that shit. That's not normal. That's not fucking okay.
We're all fucking upset. There's enough of us to get it going, trending anyway. We're upset about the new Cinderella movie. The actress playing Cinderella isn't white. There's no prince. They changed the story. What am I going to tell my kids? The shit that my people get upset about. What am I going to tell my kids? Well, fucking talk around it the way you do we talk around the real history of this country. I think you can do that. You can talk around fucking genocide and slavery. I think you can talk around a stupid.
That's what really fucking got them. They don't like that shit at all.
Yeah. It's also like, oh no, the Disney's new Snow White movie is changing the story from what it originally was. Yeah, welcome to fucking 1937. It's like, oh, the original Disney movie changed it too, guys. It doesn't
because
matter.
the original stories were fucking horrific.
Yeah.
You must have a really
stories.
fucking awesome
Cinderella's
life. You Jonas, you've got an awesome life. I just know it. You've got a lot of fucking friends and like
There's a good kind of quick check you can always do in any situation, which is that if you find yourself using the acronym TDS in any context with any degree of sincerity, you should at that point be touching grass. Like you should be putting your device down and you should be touching grass, and then you should be finding a really deep puddle and then getting some concrete fucking shoes, baby. Sorry. In Roblox.
Yeah.
Roblox.
Also, that guy probably doesn't know that his wife is a Wall Street trader and makes millions more than he ever did.
Gold digging whore, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I did make that up, but then if we're just making up any old shit, then why not?
Yeah, I mean, so like, what's struck me about this Snow White bullshit is that it's literally the exact same thing that me and a little movie perp who was in chat earlier. I don't know if he's around, but like we had a debate with this guy after calling for debates on a couple of different streams, trying to get anybody to just come on and talk to us, debate us about this stuff, and only one guy did, and it was about Little Mermaid and why. It's not a big deal that it makes sense if some people don't want their Little Mermaid to be black. What if the people that loved that movie when they were a kid, now they want to take their kid to see it, but it's not the same one. It's black now, or whatever. And we fucking
yeah. Also, guys discovering the concept of a movie remake just by the by on that.
And another guy showed up in chat and was like, "Oh, but it's not the same thing as the original Hans Christian Andersen, blah blah blah." And it's like, none of it is the same. The fucking original Disney cartoon is not the same as the original story.
I really wish the Disney Cinderella was coming out now, because I've got so much to say about how bloody dark and bleak that story is. Well, for a start, the glass slipper isn't glass; it's squirrel fur. So they changed that.
Hey, that'll keep you warmer.
But more disturbingly, the ugly sisters actually cut off their toes so that they could squeeze their bloody stumps into the slipper in order to claim the prince. And then I think they then have to wear steel boots and dance themselves to death.
It also rocks though, like Cinderella, like rocking up to the party of the century. Like, yeah, what's the fit, Cinderella? Oh yeah, you know we rocking the squirrel fur boots. That's how you attract a medieval German king or whatever. He'll sees the woman wearing the finest squirrel fur slippers, and he's like, that will be my queen.
Terror Story, relax. Sean is totally fucking joking, so it's cool.
Movie about some broad who didn't exist. You can't do that. Go
Boots
take
with
her
the
to go
fur.
see Pinocchio. I don't like Pinocchio because that fucking wooden puppet transitions into a real boy. First of all, I don't like trans people, and God only makes real boys, not some immigrant named Geppetto. What am I supposed to tell my kids?
Damn. All right. Good recommendation, Lucifer Rising. Very good. Appreciate that.
I mean, that's a great point about Pinocchio as well when you think about it. Why aren't the religious nutters absolutely in uproar that this toy maker created a real boy?
Yeah, isn't that what God's supposed to do?
Yeah, after making a deal with some supernatural creature. It sounds like devil worship to me.
I mean,
man, I just know the youth pastors had a field day with that film. Like rocking up to a school cafeteria being like, hey guys, so we all know about Pinocchio, but let me tell you about another guy who creates real boys.
I don't want to think about disturbing connotations that and the Catholic Church has. Thank you very much.
No, this guy can be a Protestant. It's okay.
They never do anything like that.
No, they're good guys.
But yeah, I don't think that's what it's so culturally illiterate. And the people that peddle this lie, they all know as well. They all know they're lying. The Disney versions were sanitized versions of sometimes ancient stories that bear no resemblance to what those stories were. And those stories are all made up anyway. So who cares?
Yeah. What are we doing? Speaking of, I might hit the fucking sack. I might make like Sleeping Beauty and go to bed until my true love appears and kisses me awake. So nice hanging with you guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. And I gotta get some
right.
food because I'm freaking fading. So, but yeah, always happy to have you.
Yeah. Everyone at home, make sure you go to these guys' Patreons and give them too little money and also too much at the same time. And I'll see you guys around.
Later, man.
Don't look for my Patreon. I don't have one because I've got a job, and the way tax works is in the UK means that
I do have a
it's all
Patreon.
too complicated. Yes,
You
but
can
Dane
join-
does.
My
Go
Patreon
ahead.
is free. You can follow me for free on it. I always tell people that, hoping that maybe you'll like take a little pity on me, but you can just also follow me for free. For free. Don't give me any money for all the work I do. That's fine. No, I'm kidding.
Throw in some money, please, people, if you can afford it. I know things are tough all over at the moment, but yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I got
Not
here.
asking for $200,000 to make a series of bad films. So
I know, Lucifer. I'm shameless. I mean, that's what I've been doing for 5 years, is just like learning from all of these guys how to do it, and I'm not doing so well so far. I'll be honest. I'm not executing this properly. I'm fucking struggling. No, I'm good. Yeah, cool, man. That was cool. Pillar showing up like that. Glad he did. We got a little bit too British here. I'll say that. A little bit too. It was a little yikesy. I started to feel a little, I don't know, like crowded.
you were 50% British.
I know that like right now, America is nobody's favorite country. I know that we're getting looked at kind of weird these days. That's I don't know. What's you guys' problem? You don't like our president or something? You got
This is the first stage of the reclamation. We start off by slowly taking over stream channels, and then eventually we work our way back to giving you a king.
I mean, I gotta say, like, so one of you, going after a guy that has, what do I have, like almost something like 7,000 subscribers, not a great start, especially when one of you has far, far more subscribers than me. Like, it just seems like I don't know, you're not netting anything there. You're just kind of.
Yeah, but then I've got far, far less. So I mean, between myself and Pillar of Garbage, we've got 50,000 subscribers each.
Pillar of Garbage
So-
is right, like garbage. That content is garbage. No, I'm kidding, obviously. Anyway, I am tired. I do have. What do I want to show here? We can either show on the way out the door. I got a 4-something minute clip of me and Bob Chaos talking about Mahler and Drinker and YMS, I think, and Blade Runner.
Yeah,
What do you think?
definitely go out on that and check out their video on that Mauler Nerdrotic infighting.
This is an outtake from that. It was kind of an aside that we did in the middle of that, where like I had no idea that apparently YMS was friends with EFAP at one point. I knew that he went on their show, but like I didn't know that they were like kind of cool with each other. And before that point, apparently they're not now. He recognizes that they're full of shit because they are. And of course, Mahler might be writing the best short film anybody's ever seen. Point yes, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. With that in mind, I guess stick around for 4 minutes, and what I'll do at the end of that is I'll play a little bit of this music that I've prepared that nobody's heard yet. Probably tomorrow, my voice is like 10% better, and then I might have a new song by the end of the week. We'll see. Ryan, Nothing But Media, fucking kill me. You as well.
It's been a pleasure.
It's probably late for you as well, so you should probably get some rest. And yeah, man, I am tired. All right, here's this.
Also worth noting, the second YMS criticizes Critical Drinker, they bring him on to EFAP. Yeah. And, last time I heard it sounded like YMS was kind of done with their friendship after that.
Wait, who was YMS friends with?
EFAP. Well, before.
He is?
Before, not is, was. Not
oh, I didn't know that he was ever friends with him. I thought that he.
Yeah, no, he considered them friends, which is why, like, he kind of pseudo defended them for a little bit, and then they essentially you can watch the EFAP. They essentially invite him on to say you're wrong about Critical Drinker, and then I know I covered it on live stream, but like there are moments where you're watching that and you can see YMS is putting the pieces together, where he's like, oh, you guys aren't remotely honest. You're just like spitting shit to, selling propaganda, essentially, is what he was realizing. And I think later in a different stream that must have been somewhat related, because I did watch it, he commented about essentially realizing that they're more about defending certain people than actually like saying the right thing.
Right. Yeah, you got to have. I mean, you must have the correct opinion with the EFAP crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've literally, it's been a while since we dealt with this shit. But like, what was his name? Dude that he came on and talked all about the inner workings of EFAP with this.
Oh yeah,
Southpaw.
Southpaw. Yes.
Like how their friendship kind of like deteriorated over essentially just opinions of movies and shit, and like.
Yeah.
They just take it so fucking seriously, and it does too. But he takes it so seriously in like a different direction than they do, in somewhat of a more, I guess, just better analysis. Even though it's still more or less based on the kind of it's got one foot in the objective analysis bullshit, so it's still pretty stupid. But
yeah, well, I mean, that's part of the issue with how Mahler and the EFAP crew present things, because it's all in this objective framework. Oh, well, if you like this thing that's objectively wrong, it makes it almost feel like that's some sort of moral failing or some shit, and it's not.
That's definitely the logical assumption of talking about stuff like that is that there's going to be something wrong with you if you enjoy something they think is objectively bad, or vice versa.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that's why I fucking have a problem with it. You know? Like,
Yeah, it's
hey,
something that's extremely fucked up.
probably even
Like,
agree on like a lot of stuff that they think is objectively good, and I just think is like amazing content or whatever. You know, just there's problems that come from that stuff. But yeah, we've talked about this a lot. It's just been a while.
yeah. Yeah, just something because it's come up before is Blade Runner 2049 came up in YMS's and EFAP's conversation. And essentially, EFAP's point was it was pretty much all three of them are like, it's so boring we couldn't even get through it. And YMS was like, I loved that movie. What the hell?
Jesus Christ. There was a time whenever I would have probably felt that way about that movie when I was much younger. You know what I mean? Like when my ability to sit through, you know, not slower, because it's not really a slow movie, but it is kind of, I mean, I guess it's just
there's lots of atmosphere to take in with that movie.
And I fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just exposes that they don't have an appreciation even for the atmospheric, you know, amazingness of the first Blade Runner. If you can't even enjoy that in that one, and I think it's safe to say the second one is better than the first one overall.
I 100% agree.
The first one, yeah, absolutely. It far like it's amazing that it had such an impression, left such an impression on film and sci-fi aesthetic and stuff like that, because the plot is ass. He's essentially a cop or detective that just kind of stumbles into his job throughout the movie.
I mean, I'm not even convinced he's the good guy at the end because towards the end, I'm really rooting for Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, well, I mean, fuck yeah, absolutely. He's right. You know, he's the one that makes he's the only one that makes a real salient point. Anyway.
Yeah.
Soak it in.
Absorb it. Let it wash over you.
Don't forget to subscribe.